Hello and welcome everybody to the second chapter of the first book of The Daughter of Alba. Today's title is Taigh at Home. So you have just been, you arrived pretty much 5 days ago back home. It is now the 4th of January, as it were. And in the meantime, you have done plenty of things. You have rescued a would-be lover, or well, lover but not would-be father from wolves and a bear off a mountain, and you've sent him on his merry way. You are now going to, in 2 days' time, take a young girl to meet her betrothed, more or less willingly. She's also expecting, but not from the betrothed, because you know things never run smoothly. You have also started work on on an extension to the stable, because now you have 2 horses and you need space. And Siobhan has also not been idle. She has been, working with the people, working for the people of the parish, as it were. And it seems like people are really happy to see the 2 of you back. You've also spoken to one of the village elders and helped her, and she's made you promise to come back for more tea, and she's given you a Christmas cake, as it were, or a solstice cake rather. And yeah, so you are at the moment still sharing a house with Lina, who will be with you for 2 more nights.
Mm-hmm.
And on the second day, you have decided to take her home to her father's, because she is getting married, and the problem is she is pregnant, but the person she's pregnant by doesn't really care for her that much, or not at all maybe. And so it's important that she gets married really quickly, so that nobody notices what's happened. She has resigned herself to the fact that Cormac, no last name, is not father material. And she has also basically understood that getting married is probably the best way out of this problem. Also to get away from her abusive father, who is a terrible person, a widower. Maybe there's more to him than just being terrible. Maybe he has layers. We may find out. So it's a new day, and you have decided to work on the stable extension.
Yes.
So essentially, you kind of calculated it's going to take you 7 to 8 full days of work. You have already spent 1 full day. Are you going to do anything in particular today, or are you just going to work on the stables?
I would just work on the stables if there's nothing particular to do. If Jeanette is not coming with, I need help for this or do that, she would just work on the stables.
Okay, so Siobhan is not really going to do much today. So she is also not going into the village today, because there is no need. She is going to check the snares, because she did build one that she's really proud of. Let's roll on her luck. Her luck is terrible. And with a 61, although the snare was well done, it's empty. But you laid 4 more that you made, and with a 58 and a 62 and a 68, that's not, and a 17, you catch 3 more rabbits.
Nice.
So you have now 7 rabbits that need to be skinned. That will be left to you, because that's your domain. She is not really one of, she doesn't really have that kind of skill. She's more the person who cooks. And Lina is helping out, doing stuff around the house, but also kind of getting ready to move away, because obviously she will not be residing in the village, but she will be joining her future husband's household, wherever that may be. You don't know. And so then, during the day, while you are working on the stables, at some point Siobhan shows up, and she has a mug of tea for you, because it is cold, and she says, well, why don't you take a break? And she hands you the tea.
I will put down the stone that I probably just have at hand and happily take the mug of tea just to warm myself. How is she holding up?
Well, I suppose she is coming to terms with reality. I mean, let's face it. She would have known that this day was going to come anyway, because that's how this works. You get married, and somebody marries you, and you. If she hadn't met Cormac, I don't think this would have been any problem anyway.
And we still can hope that her future husband is a decent guy.
Yes. I do believe that we have a good chance there. So let's just hope that this is the case. And other than that, yeah, I mean, she's been helping around the house, but I think that she's also ready to move on because, this is not a permanent situation.
And no, I'm honestly also happy when we have our space to ourselves again.
Yeah, we've only had one night on our own since we came back, because the first night we were actually camping outside saying hello to the sun.
Which was also a really nice event.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really curious and scared at the same time what happens when we bring her home.
About that, I was thinking, I think we should be there by noon because her future husband will be traveling to be here tomorrow, but I don't think that he's intending on staying. So he will probably try to be here by noon to even start making their way back. And the first place where they could take shelter is about 5 hours from here. So I suppose that he will probably try to get there.
We can also go there in the morning and help her prepare. She probably has to pack a few things. And
yeah, as long as we keep her
keep
father
her
in
company.
check.
Yeah, I would say we are just there to help. We are her friends, which is, I don't think, unusual that friends are helping the future bride to pack everything and prepare and be giddy and happy.
Yeah, and I can bless her.
See, that will be a good thing.
Yeah, so maybe we should leave in the morning and just take her there. And we will see how Sean fares when he sees you again. Remember, sheepdog. More sheepdog.
Depends on his reaction.
And she pats you on the shoulder and says, I know. And it's looking good. And she looks at the foundations that you've been laying.
It's slowly coming together, so I think it will be nice for the horses to be comfy and everyone has their own little space.
When we're in the village tomorrow, we can see about some thatch, because we will need thatching for the roof.
Yeah, we can see what we can get. Also with all the rabbits we got, I'm quite sure we can trade a bit.
Yeah, that's very good, because I mean, they would have cut the thatch earlier in the year, and we can just exchange some rabbits for it. That's a good idea.
We could even use a bit of the meat for trading. I think we have quite a bit. And it
Yes, we
seems
do.
that the rabbits are at the moment quite happy to jump around and land in our snares.
Well, in yours, mine didn't work out. I didn't catch a single thing.
That was just luck. It looked really good, so...
Yeah, I'll keep trying. I want to do this again.
And yeah, so tomorrow, short breakfast and then we leave. That gives her time to pack. That gives her father time to not panic. Should we send a message to him that he knows that we are coming tomorrow, that he's not panicking and going berserk?
Well, I can go into the village and talk to him. You should work on this. Unless you want to go.
I think it might be a nice change for him to talk to someone that he's maybe even more scared of.
But I'm so innocent.
But he will be extra careful to not make you angry, I'm quite sure.
And it gives me a chance to take out Percy, because he hasn't been out for a longer stretch of time. So All right, so actually I will do this now so that I'm back in time to make dinner.
I
And
will keep an eye on her. Maybe she can help me a little bit, at least on tiny things.
I will tell her. And she
Yeah.
goes back into the house, and Lina comes out, and she is well, I mean, Lina is actually a little bit taller than Siobhan, who is very small. So she's about, well, maybe 170.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously she is a farmer's daughter, so she is a lot heftier. So
Yeah.
she can carry some, yeah.
And she's not highly pregnant, so she can still do quite a bit. So that is
Yeah.
also quite good. I think here and there, I will just ask her if she can put together some mud that we can already press into the gaps between the stones, so we can start from below.
And when you say this to her and explain to her what she needs to do, she is actually quite a fast learner. She gets to do this, and she then basically and Siobhan takes out Percy and saddles him and rides off into the village. You know that's going to take her about 20 minutes to get there, so you assume it will probably take her 2 hours tops going there, talking to him, coming back. If she takes her time, she may actually, maybe take him out a little longer. Yeah, and so the two of you actually make really good progress because now you have help. And really, about 90 minutes later, Siobhan is back, and she lets you know that she has spoken to Sean and that she has informed him that you would be there before noon. And he has been quite civil.
Good to hear.
Yeah. I think he's calmed down.
Hope he keeps that up tomorrow.
Yes. And then she goes inside and she starts to prepare a meal. Today it's roast rabbit with baked potatoes, which you put in the fire. So
I will enjoy the smell that I'm getting already, but I will work as long as I can on the stables. Yeah. I think after Siobhan comes back, I will just tell Luna, thank you for the help so far. I guess Siobhan couldn't have some help for the meal.
Yeah.
And we'll keep on working until.
And you do smell the herbs that she uses. So basically the smell is coming out of the chimney, and it smells lovely. It does. And she calls you in just after sundown, because as soon as it's really dark, there is nothing you can do really.
Yeah.
And she invites you in, and food is ready, and you can have dinner. It's lovely. It was made by Siobhan, so it does taste extra specially good. And then Lina decides that she wants to have an early night because she has she does have a big day tomorrow. And she doesn't really know how long the journey will be because she also does not know where she is going.
Well, then let's get early to bed, have an early rise breakfast, just to make sure that you are also well fed before you start traveling, because I'm not sure if your father will think of that. And then we will accompany you.
And the next morning when you wake up, you're woken by Siobhan actually making breakfast and preparing tea and everything. And then Lina is also awake pretty soon, and then the three of you have breakfast, and you go. I guess you walk into the village because and you arrive. I want to say at about probably 9 o'clock at Sean's house. Sean looks. Basically there is no one there, so Siobhan knocks. The door opens. Sean Org is standing in front of you. What do you say?
Good morning.
Good morning. And he looks at his daughter, and you can tell that he is about to say something, but then he doesn't. And he just takes a step outside and motions for her to go inside, but stays where you are, namely outside of the house. And then Siobhan says, well, do you want me to go inside and help her while you entertain her father?
we can do.
Okay, so she vanishes in the house and he just looks at you.
You have any idea when the future husband will arrive?
I should think before noon.
Okay, then it's good that
They have a 2-day journey ahead of them.
Oh, so not the neighbor village.
No, it's 2 valleys over. And you know that 2 valleys over is actually the territory of a small clan called Clan Lachlan.
Mm-hmm.
They are really small. It's about the sire is the sire commands a number of people much less than Dunlevin Hall, maybe 70, 80. However, they are quite well off because they own a bog and there is peat.
Ooh.
So it's actually, as you follow the ridge that runs east-west, from which you basically took a turn south to get to your village.
Yeah.
There's a glen,
Mm-hmm.
and it runs north-south as well. And there's a loch in there, and of course there is peat and bog because it's very boggy, and that's where they live. So it's quite sheltered, and it also means that it doesn't really get that cold in winter. Plus, it's a very easily defensible place. So Clan Lachlan is pretty much stuck there, and they will not budge. So they are, in spite of their size, quite powerful simply because they are quite rich. Because they would trade with you guys as well. So to be able to marry his daughter off into one of their families, that's actually quite a good, for her, it's probably a lot less problematic than being, sold off to a, well, essentially, yes,
It's
sold
kind
off
of
to
sold off to
to some kind of really poor farming clan somewhere in the Highlands.
Yeah.
So Siobhan has vanished, so has Lina, and then he looks at you and he says, well, will you step inside and have some tea?
Sure, thank you.
And he walks in, and
I will be really nice and clean my boots outside to make sure I'm not dragging in any mud, and I will follow him.
The place is interestingly enough quite clean, so probably Lina is a good housekeeper. And he makes some tea. Lina has packed a bundle which is, well, small. She doesn't own much. She has possibly 2 changes of clothes. And you sit round the table. It's kind of a weird atmosphere because what do you talk about? The last time he and you spoke, you didn't really have that nice of a conversation. And at length, after an hour or so, there is a knock on the door. He opens the door, and in steps a man of maybe your age, maybe a little bit older, but no more than 25. And he is he looks decent. I mean, there is nothing else you can say. He's wearing Clan Lachlan tartan, and he introduces himself as Callum MacLachlan, obviously. And the 2 exchange words, and then Lina steps forward, and you can tell this young man is completely out of his depth. He shakes her hand really timidly and awkwardly. And he says, well, so I suppose the 2 of us are now going home to my parents' place. Like asking her a question, and she's like, yes, I think this is what we're doing now. And he says, I brought a cart. And looking outside, you see that he's got one of those carts with only 2 wheels, and it's drawn by a mule. And he says, well, you can sit in it. It's going to be a lot more comfortable instead of walking. And then he looks at you and he's like,
Well, let me bring your stuff over, Lynette, and you don't have to carry that. And remember, you should have a blanket with you just to keep more comfy.
And she takes a blanket and
I will take her bundle because...
And he's quite unsure if you are the sister or you're certainly not the mother, he can tell, so...
Probably Aisling will step up to him, just straighten out her hand. I'm Aisling, I'm one of Linda's friends. We are here to give her the goodbye on her new way with you.
And he grabs your forearm, basically, and shakes, and and then he looks at Siobhan, who he can clearly tell she's a priestess, and she says, well, I'm here to bless the union. He's like, okay. And then then he steps outside and tries to help Lina into the cart, but Lina is really quick about it, and she gets in, and then Siobhan steps out and she actually does bless him, and let's see if he actually gets any benefit from that. Oh, he does.
Well, we wish that.
And so does his wife.
Great, we want them safe home.
Yeah,
in future home. So.
And then her father says, "Well, good luck." Really awkwardly, and Callum looks at him, and you notice that he does keep looking at her eye because she still has the black eye, but he doesn't say anything.
I will just carefully put her stuff with her. I will just probably lay my hand on her shoulder. Take care, and when we start traveling again and we get through, we will peek in and see how you're doing.
And he looks at you and says, yes, you would be very welcome. Depending on when, I might even have a house for the two of us. I'm building one.
Ooh, that's nice. Well, it probably earliest in spring. We haven't decided yet when we will travel a bit, but have a safe trip. Look out for wolves. We've seen quite a few around here.
Oh. You can tell that he's more of a farmer than a fighter.
Just a second. Sean, do you by any chance have some... What's it called in English? Fackel?
That's a good question. I know what you mean. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, me too. And that's a standard...
Torch,
thank you. Standard issue in every
adventure
game.
And yeah, torch.
Do you by any chance have a few torches left? I can bring you new ones tomorrow if you like, but it would be good for them to have some torches while they're traveling in case wolves show up, because they don't like fire.
And he looks at you and he says, sure. And he steps inside and he comes out with 2 torches. And he hands them to Callum.
And I will also just pat Callum, probably on the foot, because he's sitting on a cart, I guess, already. Also, they don't like loud noises. Just be loud and annoying. Usually it scares them.
He looks at you and he says, thank you. I will remember that. Loud and annoying. And he kind of starts, you can see it starts working in his brain. How could he be loud and annoying? And then Siobhan says, singing. Bad singing.
Take good care of her. She will be a fantastic wife.
And he looks at her and he says, I will.
And then I will just step back and step next to Siobhan.
And the cart leaves. You can tell that Lina does look back, but she doesn't look at her father. She just looks at you.
Yeah,
and
we
she
will
waves.
just be waving. And then I will just turn around to Sean. Well, then have a nice rest of the day, sir. And we'll pull Siobhan more or less that we shall leave now.
Siobhan lets herself be pulled, and and then she says, "But we should talk to one of the Thatchers.
Yeah.
His name's Alistair. Alistair is a Thatcher."
Okay, Alistair and Thatcher. Yeah, we will go there because we also nevertheless took the leather and the bit of meat with us since we're here anyhow, and it was clear it would not take the whole day.
So you go to Alistair's hut or house. It's actually right on the lake, as close as you can get. And I mean, there is reed out, like there is reed around the lake, and you know that he actually cuts it and he turns it into thatch, because that's something that is always in demand, because everybody has thatch roofs and they need to be fixed and stuff.
Yep.
And and he is, let's see if he is outside. Yes, he is on an 11. And he is actually working on his thatching. So he is sitting there binding them. He looks up and he sees you. Aisling, oh, sister, and he nods. To you, he just waves.
Good. I always want to say good day, and then no, we're not in Australia.
Good day.
Good day. We were curious if we could trade for some thatching, because we are expanding our stable and the horses would like a nice roof over their head to not get wet when it's raining.
Sure. How much do you need? I'm just finishing another bundle right there, and he points to, 10 or so.
Yeah, I would. It's not a big. I have no idea how much. I would describe on how much of a field I would need to just cover.
And he kind of looks at you and he says, yeah, well, if you take 12, that should be enough. So I've got 10 now, and I should have 2 more ready by tomorrow. I could take my cart and drive them out to you tomorrow. Or do you need it today already?
No. I'm still building the wall, so no rush and hurry. So if there's also an emergency that needs some, I'm fine with just taking it bit by bit. At the moment, the horses are cozy together in their little stable. What do you want in just for training? We have some leather and some rabbit meat if it helps, but I can also get other stuff.
Well, I will take the leather for binding. And, well, if you could get me some more leather.
Yeah, sure.
The rabbit is better off with the widows. They need food. I have mine. I can go hunting, but the leather would be really helpful because it's ready already, and I can use it for tying.
Then I will give him the leather that we have, and then I will come by, let's say in 2 days for more, and then I will have leather with me.
Yes. Cool. Okay, so I'll see you in 2 days, and he's very happy about this, and he greets you, and then he also again he does the bowing to Siobhan, and Siobhan tries not to roll her eyes, and she says, "Yes, brother. Have a good day."
Then I guess let's go back and let's see that we can hand out some meat.
Yeah. Why don't we go to see Vari? Vari is one of the oldest people in the village, and she will know who to give the food to anyways.
I also promised to look by and see if she needs help with anything, because I collected water for her the last time.
You did? Very good.
Well, we also sat down, had tea, and talked a bit, especially about Sean and his bad behavior, but...
Oh, God. Yeah.
Everyone seems to know it. It's not only on us. And he seemed to have mistreated her for a while.
Yeah, but still, he is one of the... Well, he is quite... I mean, he does have money, so...
Well, probably not that much money anymore, because I'm quite sure he had to pay quite a bit to send her off to the McLaughlin.
Yes, I was surprised. I mean, it's a good surprise.
Colin. My brain already. He's gone. Colin made a nice impression, I think.
Yeah, he also seemed a little bit overwhelmed by the whole situation.
I think Lina and Colin can figure something out that works for both of them.
I think they will. Yeah, he seemed nice. And he's definitely and he's already building a house.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So, what more can you ask for? Not much.
No, and she will be able to tend the house, so...
Yeah, and she may even be able to kind of design it a little bit, at least on the inside. And so I think it's going to be fine.
They will have very quickly the first child, which is what the people want. So
yes, let's just hope it's a son.
Yes, that would be perfect. But
that would be perfect. I mean, we will take a daughter, but a son is always preferable, as you know.
Yeah, I'm just glad that he makes a nice impression. I was worried about what kind of guy would show up. So
yeah, I mean, it is. I guess it's difficult for them as well because they don't get a say in who they're going to get married to either.
That's true. That's true.
Because I'm pretty sure his father didn't see her before he entered into the bargain.
Probably not. I guess both fathers just made a deal. Both being desperate for their children to be married.
Yes.
And political connections. But hey, let's see. Let's see if she's there.
Well, to be connected to Clan Lachlan isn't a bad thing for Sean.
And honestly, Lina, it's one of the safest places around here, I would guess. And she will not starve from hunger or freeze or anything there. So
no.
It's a good place. It's a good place. I'm really surprised.
For her and her children.
Yep.
And you go to Vari's place. Duncan, her sheepdog, already greets you. He jumps up on you and puts his front paws on you.
Scruffle the head.
Siobhan laughs.
Wait, you said I should be more like him, huh?
Well, you are. And you've made a friend for life. And Vari is really happy to see you. Oh, you're back so early. That's lovely. So do come in for tea. Do come in for tea. And she invites you. Oh, and you brought the sister. Sister, I just wanted to thank you for the sermon. I hope that Aisling told you it was one of the best, and I've heard so many, but I really felt the tug on the sun and how you brought it back. If it hadn't been for you, who knows, maybe it would never have returned. And Siobhan blushes and she looks at you.
It was a good ceremony. I can't say anything else like that, but Vari, after some tea, A, do you need some help again? Because I'm here. And B, we have some rabbit meat. Do you by any chance need it or know anyone who would be happy to get a bit fresh meat on their table?
Well, yes, I do have something that you could do for me. And as for the fresh meat, how about giving it to our two expecting mothers? I'm pretty sure that they could do with some decent food. And she looks at Siobhan and Siobhan just nods. Mm-hmm. And she says, well, you can give it to me and I will hand it out later. But I need somebody to split some wood for me.
Sure. Then maybe you two have tea and...
Siobhan looks at you and says, can I not come with you?
Well, we can also... You don't have to go out. Let's say we have tea together and we can give you a little bit more about... Have you seen that Luna is off now?
Oh, do tell. And she boils the kettle and she makes the tea and she basically asks you to sit down. And it's lovely tea and she hands you some... she doesn't give you any of the cake because she gave you a whole cake already. So, and she wants to hear everything about who the groom is, where he's from, blah blah blah.
Aisling
and
she will blankly describe it because it's a good man and she's quite happy with it. So she will explain and just see and well, I guess
Clan Lachlan. You say that's a good clan.
It is.
She will be happy there.
And it's a nice young man. He already started building a house, so...
Oh, very good, very good. So he's going to live on his own. That's very good. Sometimes it's difficult when you move in with the parents.
Yeah,
especially the mothers.
Well, he definitely wants to build their own family, and he came with a cart, so she doesn't even have to walk.
Oh,
very
so
nicely thought through.
Yes, that's very... I mean, she does deserve a lucky break, that one.
She do, and he was good enough not to say anything about her looks. Bonus points for him on that.
Well, it would have been interesting to hear what Sean would have had to say and how he would have explained it.
Probably that she fell.
Probably. He's a very good liar, that one.
Well, now at least Lina is at a good place.
Yeah, Yeah, that's really good. That is really, really good. And then, you spend some more time, and then do you go outside and split the wood?
Well, Ashling will get up. Okay, now I will go splitting the wood and make it ready for you. Why, Siobhan, are you not taking the meat to the ladies? Because then you can also see if they're fine, because you need to check up on them anyhow.
That's a good idea, and Vari actually accepts that this is a really good idea, so she hands the rabbit back, and Siobhan goes and visits her two expecting mothers.
And then Ashling will go outside and chop wood.
Let's meet at the well in an hour.
In an hour. I should be definitely done by then.
So she goes off to meet her expecting mothers. Duncan, of course, doesn't leave your side. He's very interested watching you do the wood, chop the wood. He is he's a good dog. And you chop the wood. It's it does take you the better part of an hour, and then you stack it nicely. You bring some in.
Some inside, yeah.
Yeah, and then you go to the well. And Siobhan is already there, but it looks like she just arrived. And she says, "Okay, are you ready?"
Yeah.
They're doing fine.
Good.
So I'm not seeing, unless something really terrible happens or the gods behave really badly. And she looks up at the sky. Not that they would. Everything should go fine. One of them is probably due in the next, I want to say, 4 weeks.
Then you will have work soon as well.
Yes. Yes, indeed. But let's go home and let's make the most out of not having to... I just hope that nobody will come tomorrow morning and arrive with a black eye or some other sob story.
We can just send them away. Tomorrow morning we will... Or probably even today, I should set up snares again. We can do that when we get back. Just setting everything up. You can help. Because tomorrow I need to see if we caught anything to prepare the leather.
Yes. Yeah. And you walk back.
Yep.
And you arrive. Nothing has changed. Nobody has tried to rob the place. The horses, if you look in on them, they are still fine. And you can still work on the stable if you like.
No, today it would be then going out, setting up snares again.
I shall go with you.
And giving her some to set up, for me to set some up.
So let's see how she does.
Let's see.
We said that this was survival, didn't we?
Yeah. How many do we do each? 3 each?
Okay, yeah, so she does... The first one is a fail. The second one is a 16, so that's actually really well done. So she gets another practice point. And the last one is not. So she only manages to set up the one. So the other ones are failures.
I have 3 successes.
There you are. Okay, so we'll see how that works.
Yep.
So we'll see tomorrow if you caught anything.
So then we have 4 snares up. And then just going back home. Reorganizing that we have our space like it was again without guests.
Yeah, and she is... it's good to be on our own.
Yeah. I would really like after some food, or maybe even before food, if it's not too much work, to start checking out the books again now that it's peace and quiet.
Absolutely, we should do that. How about I just get the food going? Because, I mean, there isn't that many options of what you can cook. It tends to be some form of stew. And the longer you cook the meat, the better it gets. So she will get this going, and while she does this, you will probably check on the horses one more time, because that's what you do. You look after them, and they are doing fine. They enjoy getting scritches between the ears and getting an apple each. I think you can afford giving each one an apple.
Yeah.
So when you get back, she's actually made tea again because it is cold, so you do need to keep warm. And she has taken some of the cake that Vari gave you and already soaked it a little in the tea to make it taste nice. Well, I mean, it does taste nice, but it's quite tough, so
softer.
it needs to be soaked. Yeah. And then she says, okay, so sit down. And she takes out the book, the travel log.
Yeah.
So, and this time round, I am prepared because I actually have it open. Yep. And here it is. So, the first country that he really describes is Chirsan Ahar, which simply means the land to the east. Rawindra. And he writes, after long travels, I finally arrived on the shores of Rawindra, and what a land it is. The number of people is too great to count, like the number of their gods and their demons. They say they have 1,000,000 and 1,000,000 more that will walk among them. They call them avatars. We know little about these people, as their strict laws of purification prevent them from mixing with people from other places and below or above their station. For them to venture out would mean endangering their eternal soul and would lead to a terrible next life of servitude and hardship. Yes, indeed, they believe in rebirth, whereas we know that upon death we go into Ilator's realm. The Rawindri believe that theirs is an eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth, and each life is determined by their previous lives' deeds, both good and evil. Consequently, the most revered among their number are either from the highest caste, which indicates that they lived virtuous past lives, or indeed the holy men and women themselves. These holy ones spend their lives in constant worship and fasting. It is rumored they can live without food and water for days. Why, indeed, I saw a holy man like that in front of a house by the river and watched him sit in the blazing sun for 3 days without so much as moving a muscle or eating or drinking any of the food or water offered to him. He was surrounded by dozens of people who prayed that he should bless them. They cried, "Holy, holy, holy is he." I drew a picture of him on the 4th day. He had started preaching at that stage, saying that after fasting for 3 days and nights, he was finally pure enough to proclaim the word of the gods. And Siobhan looks at you and she says, well, I do hope that you don't expect me to do the same. I'm not going to fast for 3 days and 3 nights.
No. Let them have their things to do. We are doing things our way. But it sounds interesting, the idea. Rebirth.
It means you can never truly die. I wonder if you remember what happened before. Can you imagine?
You could get kind of a second chance. Kind of. But still. That sounds like an interesting but weird place at the same time.
Well, it is interesting and weird, but nevertheless, it sounds like something that would be interesting to see, considering that it doesn't look like they will be coming to our place, considering that they don't want to mix with other people.
The question is, how will they behave if they see strangers like us?
Well, they seem to have taken quite nicely to him, because he doesn't
true.
say that they were being
aggressive or
antagonistic to him. Yeah. And he basically then describes their pantheon. So they have 1,000,000 and 1,000,000 more. Mm-hmm. And the gods themselves seem to be a dual in nature. Okay. In that each of them that he describes, the main deities, also have an animal associated with them. So the goddess of life is also associated with a female horse. The goddess of death is also shown in the form of a rat. And it is, and he dwells quite a lot on this goddess of death because she is both completely different from Elator, who is if you say, the god of the good death. So in terms of, he leads the people into his realm where they dwell, where their souls dwell. But of course, she doesn't have this realm because people get reborn. So hers is really also, on the one hand, the face of the goddess of sickness and of a cruel death, but it's the act of dying that she stands for, not so much the afterlife, because there isn't one.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, she is also seen as a blessing to those who are suffering, because she ends the suffering for them. And he's drawn a picture of her, and she is shown as a woman with an almost demonic face and many arms, in which she's holding different weapons. One of which is actually the weapon of choice for Siobhan. It's a sickle, quite a big one too. And then, of course, the god of the sun is associated with the lion, and he's often depicted as a lion, which the two of you find really weird, because you don't associate your gods with animals. They are completely anthropomorphic. There are no animals associated with them. And he also describes that these people look very different, because they are all very dark in complexion. They have very dark skin. They all have the same eye color, which he notices. So they're all brown-eyed, and they have very brown hair. So he says that there is a lot less change, but he also points out that almost that they live very separate lives. So there is slavery, and most people are enslaved, and then there is a very small group of people who rule everyone else, and they are not associating with anyone else, and if they do happen to have to associate with them, they have to go through long rites of purification, which is why they keep to themselves. And he says they live in very grand houses, and he describes them. And when you read the description, or when Siobhan reads it to you, you get the feeling that it's like 10 times Dunleavenhall. They are huge. They are white. They have domes. He uses a word that you don't know. He uses the word dome, which means nothing to you or to Siobhan. She doesn't know what this is. And it seems to be a Rawindri word. You simply don't know. He hasn't drawn any picture of the houses, but he does say that they also have something that is called the Path of the Gods, which is a winding stretch of road which takes you up a very, very high mountain range. And he says easily 6,000 to 7,000 meters, and there's constant snow, and it takes you to the holiest of the holy. And the people who live there are called Devasavani, which means seers of the gods. And he says that they see and speak to the gods on a daily basis, and they know a god when they see them, whereas everybody else doesn't recognize the gods when they walk among them. And he then also talks about something that may be of very much interest to you, of the warrior caste. There is one group of people who basically just dedicate their lives to warfare. And they are also held in the highest esteem. And they have dedicated themselves to, they're called the Kshatriya. And they have dedicated themselves to one god called Sri Kumara, and he is the god of war. And he is associated and shown as a bull.
Okay.
Which does make sense. And they also have this very interesting rite that they will take a bull and set it free. It has to be a white bull with completely unblemished skin. And they let it run. And this bull then charges. And where this bull charges, the army will follow. And if it charges into the territory of somebody who's not part of this particular army, they will just flatten them. That this is a declaration of war.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That is a weird thing. Following an animal that just maybe following their nose or their whatever, and then just declaring war because of that.
Yeah, that's. I just wonder if they actually have a lot of wars.
Well, depending on how many white, perfectly treated bulls they have.
Can you just imagine? I mean, yeah. Just imagine Cormac would have set the bull loose instead of stealing it.
That is a weird way.
Yes.
Linking to an animal. I kind of get the gesture because bull is strong, and
yes,
the warrior connection I can definitely get, and goddess of life was a horse, right? So they are sturdy and they are helping also for humanity to be alive by riding them, helping out on the fields, feeding us depending on what it is. Interesting place.
Yeah, it is an interesting place. And then he proceeds to talk about the demons.
Oh, also before we proceed, Aisling would just flip through the elephant, or however it was called, was also in this, right? Elephantos was also linked to this part of the country.
Yeah.
Good.
And he basically talks about these as well, and they are used in processions. They are riding animals, but they're also used to carry loads, really. So to drag wood, for example. He also talks about the fact that there are huge forests, which he says are completely different to the forests that you have. And you see a picture which would depict essentially kind of like a fern. But it's a plant that you have never seen, and that also Siobhan has never seen. He again talks about the fact that they have really tall salamanders that live there. In the forests. And he also talks about ruins that are very, very, very old, but used to be huge cities. And he says cities are places where people whose number is too great to count live. And you get the feeling, because he would have traveled in Alba as well, that probably in this particular area in Rawindra, there live more people than in all of Alba together. So it seems to be very populated. And he also talks about seafaring, and that they spend a lot of time trading. And they trade a lot with Chryzea. So they would also cross the sea. And it does take them a long time. So several weeks. It took him several weeks to get there from Thalassa. He actually left from Thalassa. And it is constantly hot and wet. So he says that there is only snow in the high mountains, but that even in winter, it is just mild. Okay. It's like a mild summer in Alba is their winter. And then he talks about their demons, and it seems like they have many more than you have heard of, and he names some of them. And they basically take the war between the gods and the demons to Rawindra, and there are battles that they fight. Or at least they did in the past, and stories tell of them. And he also mentions one type of demon which is difficult to discern, and they are therefore even more dangerous because they look completely human, or so they say, but are the most beautiful people to ever behold. And it is their, if you like, their modus operandi to tempt humans into, well, yeah, into essentially procreating with them, to bear half human, half demon children, which the mother usually doesn't survive if she is the human part of the couple.
Mm-hmm.
And they are very, very dangerous because you simply don't know what you're seeing there.
Okay.
You can't tell that they are non-human, unless, of course, you are a Devasevani, because they can not only see the gods, they can also see the demons. And they are quite numerous, apparently. So it's more even like a story of, if somebody is too beautiful, they're probably really too beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and this is essentially what he describes. And he also mentions again, and you saw this the last time you read the book, that they have got that he found a portal that you can travel, you can use to travel to the world of demons.
Yeah.
And he says that people do.
Why?
People who want to prove themselves, or people who are very, very holy and try to take the battle to them.
I don't get why people would do that.
Well, I mean, someone took the fight to you, didn't he?
Well, but I still would not go through there to...
Maybe if you are very, very desperate. You don't know what those demons do there. I mean, you met 2 of them and none of them were very friendly.
True. It sounds like a strange but also quite dangerous place.
Yes, and they are afraid of 2, especially.
Mm-hmm.
2 sisters, Kuta and Ruha, who basically each want to swallow the sun and the moon to bring about the end of time.
Oh.
Yes. And then he mentions that there is one demon lord that lords it over everyone. And he drew a symbol. And it's the same symbol that is between your shoulder blades.
I was afraid that we would find something like that.
And Kuta and Ruha are his 2 daughters. And as Siobhan reads this, she was like, and I just thought he had 1 son.
How demon lord from these lands has a connection to me? That's crazy.
Well, he is the father of Samuel as well, and Samuel dwells here. So maybe we need to think about the fact that they can be wherever they want to be. If they have a portal, maybe we do too, and we simply don't know it. Maybe he just stepped out of it.
But why me? Well, me because... Thanks, Father.
It had to be someone.
Reason for and against at the same time to ever visit these lands.
I suppose you do. Well, we don't have to go anywhere. We can just stay here.
Well, I would love to go south and see where my mother grew up, to be
Well,
honest.
this is something that we have already planned, haven't we?
Yes. So that I really want. Everything else, at least I'm not keen on, because after all we just read, imagine them seeing me being kind of branded by a demon. Yay.
You might even get some worshippers, who knows?
Oh god. I'm more afraid that I will get run over by a bull or something like that. Because probably a lot of people there will know the sign. Here, at least, a lot of people have no idea what it is.
It just means that you can't show anyone the area between your shoulder blades.
But it's warm there.
She laughs and she says, yes, yes, yes. But how is it doing anyway?
I don't even feel it.
That's very good.
I know it's there, but it's just my brain that knows it's there. I don't feel it at all. I also had no dreams again.
That's good.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
I hope it stays like that.
Yeah.
Still hoping this will just vanish over time.
Well, I mean, yes, it's probably going to vanish because that's what brands do. And she doesn't sound very convincing or convinced.
Maybe I can find someone who can add a few nice things to it. Maybe changing it will destroy it.
I don't know.
We can keep
Maybe.
that in mind, maybe. Although I'm not really keen on being branded. As it must be quite painful.
I suppose so. I mean, cows usually don't enjoy it.
Well, we all have burned our fingers before, so definitely no fun.
I mean, if you really are interested, we could, of course, just go to Thalassa, since we're going to Chrysea anyway. Thalassa is the demon capital of Chrysea. They say they walk there. Ever since the Dark Mages essentially destroyed the city and opened the wound.
And what should I do there?
Maybe somebody can help you.
I'm rather afraid that there I'm totally lost and will just have to go with the demon. No. Let's go to the city I know my mother came from.
Monofrastos.
Yeah.
In the south.
That would be the goal. And then we see. If we like it there, we can travel a bit more. And if not, we're going home.
That sounds like a plan.
And on the way south, we make a little detour and see if Luna and Callum are doing well.
Well, that's going to be a very quick detour because it wouldn't even be a detour when you think of the map. You pass by there anyway before you go south, because you would even have to go through Dunlevin Hall.
Okay. Oh.
Past Dunlevin Hall.
You
can
know a bit around that.
Yeah, you can. Which reminds me, she says, we will write a letter to Tabitha, and I will send it in my name. She would get it.
Sure. I would be happy to know if she's okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Although, honestly, whoever takes over that place would be insane to let go of her. She's the best cook far.
Well, I mean, if they didn't agree on anything, then whoever was the strongest will have taken over.
Yeah. But still, good food. I think she will know how to get through.
Yeah. Hopefully.
She's
but
a tough one.
We shall see. She is a tough one, yeah. And at that moment she actually says, well, because you have spent several hours reading this, because it does take a long time, and it's time for dinner.
Good.
And I will take a short break.
Yep.
And basically the food is as usual. And as the evening progresses, you take a look at the second part of the book, which deals with the... why do I always close it? Tir na Grenje ac Eri, which simply means land of the rising sun. This land that lies where the sun rises is in many ways like our land. The people have clans they belong to, they wear their colors proudly. We have chieftains that rule the lands, the peasants are beholden to their lairds and sires and farm the land for the benefit of all. A caste of warriors follow their chosen leader and form large war bands and armies that will destroy everyone who opposes them. Above all, however, towers a hidden ruler, the Black Adept. He rules the land with an iron fist. He communes with the gods and sees to it that the sacrifices, all human, are carried out according to their ritual. Life is cheap in that land, and whoever rebels is sent on the March of the Thousand, at whose end they find certain death to glorify the gods. The veil that separates our world from the other one is extremely thin in places. I myself saw fox demons, wingless dragons, and nearly fell into the world of the Tengu, a race of powerful demons that walk the lands and wreak havoc amongst the people, grand and small alike. And he basically tells of a very oppressed people, and the hidden power. On the one hand, the Black Adept, but also a not so hidden power are the so-called samurai, who are a warrior caste that only fights with sword and bow. And they are extremely proud. And they will swear fealty to a warlord and they will die for that person. And they cannot actually break that oath. If they do, they forfeit their life. And if for some reason, for example, they are unsuccessful and a fight is lost, all of them will actually self-sacrifice.
Interesting.
And they have a very strong honor code. Samurai can be both men and women. And they are independent. They are the only ones that don't belong to anyone except by choice. But once they make that choice, they can't go back on it. And there, the demons are all animal-shaped. Foxes, badgers. You have a feeling that they are a lot less demonic than the ones that dwell in Rawindra or even our dear friend Samiel. Some of them seem to be a little more mischievous, actually. So, for example, they have demons that take the shape of little squirrels, and they will basically just, try to steal from you or, do basic stuff like that. But they don't really do bad things. The one thing that he is very mindful of is the fact that he doesn't even know the name of a single of their gods. They are very, very tight-lipped when it comes to that. The only thing that he does know is that they sacrifice humans to them. And quite a lot of them too. Which he abhors. And of course, that is not part of your culture at all. And he says that they specialize in agriculture, mainly growing one thing, which he calls risa.
Okay.
And he describes it as a white grain, which you have to boil in water. And which he says he has never seen the likes of which before. Not even in Chrysaea, where he says that most stuff would be available. But this land, Kantai Pan, does not trade with anyone. They are very, very secluded. They don't mind foreigners as long as they behave, but they don't leave their lands and they don't trade.
Interesting.
Yeah. And he describes their swords at length, and he has drawn a picture of a katana. So it's like this curved blade.
That looks interesting.
And he says that they are extremely sharp, and he says that they have a very, very interesting way of smithing them, that they fold the steel over and over and over again. And the master metal workers are supposedly able to fold the steel 100 times and then temper it so that this will cut stone.
That would be interesting to try out. Well, not the making, but the using.
Siobhan looks at him.
Stone with a sword. That kind of sounds like a much nicer land than the first one.
Yeah, I would really like to meet those squirrels.
And honestly, a demon that looks like a fox is not really scary.
It's very interesting.
Yeah. Also, it's the question, is it really a demon or is it just a fox?
Well, if it starts talking back to you, I suppose it's not a fox.
Probably. Land of the rising sun.
Yeah. And he describes what the Kantai Pani look like, and he says that their complexion is a light brown, almost yellow. Mm-hmm. And there's a drawing of one of them, and he notices that they have very differently shaped eyes. And again, he notices that they all have black hair and brown eyes again. So he just notices the absence of color differentiation in the face. Mm-hmm. But you have the feeling when you read this that he probably felt a little more at home there because of the very stratified culture with clans, and you can tell who is who by looking at what they are wearing. And if it wasn't for them, killing people to sacrifice to the gods, he would probably have felt right at home. But he also made it clear that he felt in no way threatened or anything. Yeah. So, and this is a land that you can reach as well, or which you have to reach by boat because it is an island nation. Mm-hmm. And it lies a little bit south of Rawindra, but more to the, okay, now I have to do this in my head, west. So it's closer to Thalassa, mm-hmm. but instead of going straight east, you go straight southeast.
Okay.
Yeah. And and it is also kind of like shaped like an island from, it's 3 islands, and they are mountainous in the middle, but then it tapers off. And he does notice that the earth seems to shake a lot. And that they tell of again portals that lead to other worlds there, but they don't seem to be demonic, they just seem to be different. And one of them is apparently called the Land of the Dark Sun, unlike the Land of the Rising Sun.
Okay.
And he describes the flora and fauna again. He doesn't notice any particular wildlife that is different. So there are no tall salamanders, there are no elephanti. It seems to be pretty much like you know it. There are wolves, there are foxes, there are squirrels. There are things that are called kappa, mm-hmm. Which don't seem to be, well, you wouldn't say they're demons. They're more like creatures that live there. They are green. They look like they walk on 2 legs, maybe 70 centimeters tall. They've got webbed hands. They live in water, and they have a beak like a duck's bill. And they live in wells and ponds, and they really they are tricksters.
Okay.
But if you are nice to them, they can tell you your future. They're fortune tellers if you are really nice to them. So if you don't tread on them, if you don't take away their food, or And this whole journey took him 2 years. So he went off and then he came back after 2 years.
That is, he's come around and seen a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. He has.
2 years on traveling, on the road, on ship. I guess just for myself, Aisling has never been on a ship.
No, because you're completely landlocked where you live.
Yeah. On a ship.
Your mother comes from a seafaring nation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we will like it on a ship?
Why not? I mean, I would say Aisling has been on boats, so you would have been on boats
it would be then. Yeah, small rowing boats or something like that for a lake or so. Or
or the ones where you have this pole and you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
On a big
Why not?
ship.
It's like having a house that moves.
Yeah. I would curiously probably would love to try a nice ship trip. Maybe. If we get the money together, because oh boy, it must be expensive.
Well, it depends. Maybe one can work on the ship. I could cook.
Or bless.
Or bless. And you are strong enough. I mean, they need somebody who can... I'm pretty sure that they can also use somebody who can build things, or who can ensure that nobody actually attacks the ship, or who can fish. And of course, money would help.
But one step after the other.
Indeed.
That might be something for maybe future us if we feel adventurous.
She looks at you and she says, well, you have adventure in your blood.
But I like it here. It's nice and cozy.
You don't have to leave now. We don't have to go anywhere. And we're not going anywhere for several months because it's still winter and it's cold.
With this weather, we are staying for sure. Well, I think for today that was enough adventure reading. I'll probably dream of bulls running around and still trying to imagine elephants, how they really would look like standing in front of one. We'll see.
We'll see. And well, it is kind of late, so she does what she always does. She prays, and then
I will carefully put the book back with the others, tucking it safely away. Mm-hmm. Would just make one last round outside just to see if horses are fine, and just to see if anything else outside is there what should be there. So probably listening in if I hear wolves nearby.
You hear nothing.
Good. And then I would go back inside and close the door. And then go to sleep.
Okay. You go to sleep. And the next morning, you wake up. As usual, Siobhan has already made breakfast. She is not in the house, but you can see that she must have just left because there is two steaming mugs of tea on the table. She might just have stepped out, and presently she does come back, and she says, "Oh, you're awake."
Yeah, it's time to wake up.
It is.
And start the day looking if we caught anything.
Oh yes, we should do that, and then and then you can work on the stables some more, because tomorrow we have to go back into the village to get the thatching.
Exactly, and maybe get more of the meat that we hopefully then got as well. Maybe a few more will be happy to get some fresh meat.
On a 31, she did catch something in hers.
Yes. That one we will keep. That's a special one.
You've not been lucky. You only made one.
No.
12.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2. Yeah, it's hers is actually quite a fat rabbit, so it's probably one that was too stupid to escape. And yeah, so you catch 2 more. And yeah, what you can do now is you can actually roll on dexterity to see how the thing is coming along and if you fall off your ladder. GS, I think. Yeah, because
Yeah,
Gewandtheit is something else. I don't even know what Gewandtheit is in English, but it's different.
Is this agility? Probably.
Probably, yeah, because it's more like athletics and
Yeah.
running quickly and that kind of thing, whereas GS is more like balancing and stuff.
I rolled a success.
You rolled a 6. Oh, I thought you said you rolled a 6,
No,
which is
a
like an
success.
amazing success.
Success.
Oh, it's going really well.
Good.
Yes, it's going really well. So you make really good progress, and you believe that probably three to 4 more days, and you are finished. You are doing really well, and then yeah, it is a day's labor. So she gives you something to drink. She prepares some lunch for you that you can have, and then she says, well, if you don't need me, I'd like to go into the village to see how my 2 mothers are doing.
Feel free. I will be here with the stable building until night falls.
Okay, so you can, let's see. Ha. Okay. You do hear wolves in the distance. The howling of wolves.
Towards the village?
No, the opposite direction.
Okay.
Yeah.
She will just talk with herself. I just hope they don't get closer. I really don't want to hurt them. Though would give nice leather and fur. But she would go over to the horses, just pat them. You need to wake us up in case they get close, right?
Percy looks at you a little bit, kind of like he doesn't really get what he's supposed to do, whereas Storm nods.
They will be too afraid to come here. And then I will just go on building.
Do you sing?
No.
You don't. Okay.
No.
Siobhan comes back and she says, so how's it been going?
The wolves nearby, and they should be probably.
Did you see them? Did they attack?
I just heard them. But they're getting closer, as it seems.
I mean, Seamus did say that he might come to you and ask you if you were going to join a hunt.
Yeah. They will call if they have the first problems with the wolves. We just need to be safe in the evening, really closing our door and making sure they can't easily get to the horses.
I ran into Alistair. He's going to take his car tomorrow and actually bring us some thatching.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's a good thing because we wouldn't even be able to transport it anyway. So yeah. And he says if you've got any more leather, he's willing to exchange it for something else as well, if there's anything else we need. Although I think we can give him some more leather in exchange for 12 pieces of thatching.
Yes, that's a lot. So I'm glad to give him at least what we have now. And it still feels not enough, to be honest.
Oh, he didn't complain at all. He didn't say anything, and I felt he was genuine.
Then we'll just see what he says tomorrow, if it's fine for him or if he wants more.
And are you up for attending a feast? You don't have to come, but I would love for you to be there.
Who's having a feast?
Well, there's going to be a wedding.
Oh.
I'm going to join them. So, of course, I'm invited. There will be some food. There will be dancing, of course. And if you would come, I would be happy. You don't have to, though.
This evening?
No, in 3 days.
Okay.
If you can manage, because she looks at the stables.
Sure. It's not going anywhere.
Unless you're too tired. But, think about it.
I would like... Who's getting married?
Well, it's Shonak and Angus.
Hmm.
One could say it's a match made in heaven. They've been
Kind of.
friends since they were little, so... Shonak is kind of... She's 15. That's normal. For girls to get married at that age. But he, interestingly enough, isn't much older. So he is also just 16. So you would have known him when he was a child of 11. Yeah, they're getting married.
That's a cute couple.
It is. It is.
I will join. We should take the horses with us, just not to leave them here on their own in case wolves. But sure.
You're right. Let's do that.
As long as I don't have to dance.
Go on, you know how to dance. You were going to lead in the sword dance. Don't tell me you don't know how to dance.
I don't like dancing.
Why not?
It's, I think, more for people that are more agile and easy-footed than me. Also, I look weird because I'm big between all the others.
All right.
We will figure something out.
But I will dance. I'm letting you
free.
know this now.
Feel free.
And there will be singing. And I will be singing. Whatever you do, please don't sing.
I was like, I would sing, but I'm sure you don't want me to.
No. We don't want to. We don't want to send everybody into nightmares. No. So you will come, and you don't have to dance.
Right.
And basically, the next day, we'll just skip forward. You get the thatching. It looks really good. It's enough. It's not more than enough. It's just enough. So he seems to have a really good idea of how much you were needing after you told him exactly what you were building. So there is no surplus, which is what you want.
Yep.
And 2 days after that, it's time for the wedding. And Siobhan has donned she has donned her robes, but she's also, of course, going to take them off later and wear, a normal skirt, because there is no dancing in those robes, because they are way too regal, as it were, because they are quite regal. And you ride into town, or into the village, and at Angus's parents' house, a group has congregated already. Shonak is there. Shonak is adorned in a white dress, which is probably a bride's dress that is used by different women at different times in the village, because normally nobody has a white dress, because that's not very practical. And she has it's like a dried flowers arranged in her hair, which has been put up. Obviously she has long hair like everybody else does. And Siobhan presides and officiates, so she basically declares them man and wife in the eyes of the gods. And then there is food, and there is some drink as well. Do you drink alcohol? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So there is some whiskey, water of life.
It's a good place to be.
It's a good place to be. There is plenty of people. Vari is there. The other crones are there. Bridie is there. They tell stories. The little children are there as well, so they get told, like fairy tales. And it is, there is a lot going on. And of course, then at some point, somebody claps their hands, and everybody makes room, and the Highland dancing starts. So all of this is set dancing. And it is pretty traditional, so strip the willow and all those. And of course, the sister takes part, and with a 46, she nails it. That's almost 50% of her agility. Siobhan loves dancing, you know this.
Yeah, she's good at it. I will just try to hide in the back, just looking and enjoying to watch.
Well, you are enjoying watching. At some point, somebody walks up to you. It's It's a boy, yay high, maybe 6 years old. And he stands in front of you and he says, "Are you not dancing?"
No.
"Why not?"
I have 2 left feet.
He looks at your feet. "That's not true."
Well, I'm a horrible dancer, that's why.
"Oh. Well, I can't dance either. They say I'm too small." And he is quite small for his age. He's rather small.
But being small shouldn't stop you from dancing. You have 2 feet, you can move.
"Well, I don't know. And it's also kind of weird because the girls always laugh.
Why are they laughing?
Because I'm so small."
But the small ones usually are the smart ones.
"You think so?"
Yes.
Then he looks at you. "So does this mean you're dumb?"
Often. But I can hit things very well.
"You hit things?"
Well, like wood with an axe. To chop wood and...
"So you're tall and strong."
Yes.
Okay, so you think I'm smart. All right. So what's your name anyway?
I'm Aisling. And who
You're
are you?
Aisling.
I've seen you running around, but...
I'm Yoin.
Yoin. That's a nice name.
Oh, thank you.
And
Well,
a strong
you also...
name.
Yeah, it is a very strong name, actually. And he beams at you and he says, "Would you like something to eat?" "I've got something." And he pulls out a piece of, it's like a scone.
Come on, I will just move over that he can sound down next to me.
And he sits down next to you and he shares his scone with you. It's probably a couple of days old at this stage. It's not fresh. And he bites into
I
it.
don't care.
And he looks at the people dancing. And he says, "So, where are you from? Because you're not from here." "I can tell.
How?
You speak funny. And you do have a different accent than anybody else." Yeah.
Well, we're from a place a bit more away. A few days' ride from Dunlevin Hall, but now here's our home. We've been here for a while. Although you might not remember, because we were here for a while and then we left although it was only a few weeks, we were gone.
Remember, he is quite small and you would also have lived outside. So probably he doesn't have any memory that goes back further than a year, if at all. And if he has then seen you, because you're not necessarily... Siobhan might have seen him, but not so much you, because...
Maybe I've seen him running around somewhere.
You might have seen him, but he looks like all of the other children as well. And then he basically looks at you and he says, "So, tell me about this place that you're from."
And I will describe a bit the land, which is basically the same as here.
Except that he doesn't know what a forest is.
Yeah, but we have some forest, so a lot of trees together. Well, we can go through. That's why I'm good in chopping wood. You know, I had practice.
And why did you move here?
It was time to leave home. Sometimes you just have to move on.
But what about your parents? Did you not miss them?
They're both dead, sadly, so.
So you're an orphan?
I never thought of that. Yes, I am.
That is sad.
Yeah.
And you live there all alone?
Well, now I'm sharing the house with the priestess, and I'm just winning over to...
Who's basically twirling, and you can't really make her out really well because she's weaving in and out of the other dancers.
She's my best friend.
Oh, I know her. She did the thing at Solstice.
Yes.
She's not as tall. She's hardly taller than me. Well, she is taller than him, but... So does it mean she's smart too?
Oh, she is. She is. So you just have to work on the smart one, and then everyone will want to be your friend later on.
I hope so. It's kind of lonely.
Where are you living? You're living outside, right? Not here in the village.
The house, my parents' house is a little bit up the road, and it's basically one of the houses that lie towards the pathway, away from the rest.
You just need some patience.
Yeah, that's what my mom says. She also says that I will grow as I get older. I can't wait.
I've been your size when I was young. And see how tall I am now.
Yes, you are taller than everyone else, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Was it something you ate?
No, I think I got it from my parents.
So your parents are really tall?
They were, yes.
My father is really tall.
See?
Well, not as tall as you, but...
You don't need to be as tall as me, but I'm sure that you will grow a bit. It sometimes just takes some time. Just eat your veggies. It helps to grow.
They taste terrible.
But it helps.
Does it?
Yes.
You promise?
I promise. You can still eat on top all the other good stuff. But some veggies in between is really
That's
good.
what my mom says, but I think I never really believed her. But maybe she's right. If you say so.
She is right. You can believe me. I know it's not the most fun to eat it, but it helps growing.
Do you eat them still?
Yes. And I quite enjoy it by now. You get used to it.
Really, I doubt that. It's
I still enjoy a good scone over everything.
Yes, this one's good, isn't it?
It is.
My mom made it.
She's a good baker.
Yeah, she is. I think so too.
So you can enjoy that and just the veggies, just take them along. If it helps growing, it's worth it.
At that moment you hear a voice. It's Siobhan saying, "Oh, you've made a friend."
Yes. Someone who is, compared to me, rather scared to dance because the other kids are not treating him that nicely.
And she gets down on one knee to sit next, to have her eyes level with you, and she says, "They're not treating you well. Why is that?" And he basically tells the story of being so small, and then she picks him up and sits down next to you and puts him on her lap, and she says, "Well, you know what? Being tall isn't all it's cracked up to be. Look at this one." And she nods towards you and she says, whenever she's inside, she has to hunch over because otherwise she will knock her head against one of the wood beams that hold up the roof. And I can tell you, she's hit her head so many times.
See? I told you. She's the smart one.
And she laughs at you and she says, she's smart too, but she is very strong. So I'm not very strong. I'm just smart. Well, maybe.
Oh,
and she realizes that she may have told him something that he didn't really want to hear.
I also told him that veggies might help with growing.
Oh, she's absolutely right. You have to eat your vegetables, you have to eat your porridge, and you always have to do what your parents tell you. If you are a well-behaved boy, you will grow. That's how the gods work. It's a miracle. I'm a priestess, I know.
And in between a good scone will make everything much easier.
Yes, a good scone and some honey. Honey is good too. And then you hear a voice, a man's voice, "Yoin!" And then he says, "Oh, that's my father." And he jumps off her lap and he runs away. And then he turns around and he waves at you.
Oh,
and
right back.
And she says, "What was that about him and dancing and you dancing?"
Well, he just came by and talked to me because he asked why I'm not dancing. And then we started to talk and he offered me half a scone. And we just chit-chatted. And I told him he needs to be a little bit patient and that some kids are just not seeing how cool he is. And that he is probably the smart ones because the tiny ones usually are the smart ones.
That is true. That is true.
Maybe he will grow. His father is not too sure.
I wanted to talk to you about something anyway.
Okay. Is it
also
urgent? Or do you want
no
dancing?
No. It's not urgent. I just but talking about smart kids that made me remember it. But I was thinking of starting a school
I like that.
because the children can't read and write. Their parents can't either.
I think there are a few that would like it. Maybe not everyone. Some will say it's time spent unwisely. They should be out in the fields helping, but at least in winter time, they can't do much.
Yeah.
And the parents would have the kids off their hands for a few hours.
Mm-hmm. But it would mean that I would be away
That
during
is
the day.
not a problem. I can keep myself busy.
Well, yes. Building a stable, snaring, hunting.
Well, maybe now the priority is to build a school building for you.
Well, maybe a lean-to.
We can figure something out. We just need
Because
to...
because I brought back all the books.
True.
I could use them to teach.
Well, I could join in between for a refresher.
She smiles at you and she says, yes, but I can also just read the story to you. I know Liam and the Dragon, your favorite.
I can maybe also learn finally to do it on my own.
Of course, you can.
I don't have a problem sitting between the kids, listening to and learning.
No, that is something that is quite unusual about you. You're very unself-conscious.
Well, sometimes.
Unless it's dancing.
Unless it's dancing.
But let's go home. It's late, and it is late, and she is. You can see that she has been enjoying herself, but she's also completely out of breath at this stage. She's been dancing for probably around 3 hours.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I will have to carry her.
Yeah, well, maybe tomorrow I'll take it easy.
Do so. We have not big plans for... well, I will go on building, but you can just stay at home relaxed.
Yeah, I'll probably not do anything tomorrow.
No
so let's go home.
Yeah.
And you took the horses so you can now ride back. And she's actually quite thankful about this, but you can tell that, yeah.
At least the feet can relax now.
Yeah. And you ride home. Everything's fine. You leave you take care. She helps you with the horses, and then you go inside. And then she says, well, I'm actually very tired.
Then I would say good night. Sweet dreams.
Good night. You too. And she does her... She still says her prayers. She can't do without. And then she goes to bed. And then the next morning, you wake up and you're completely snowed under. You can tell because it's, the blinds are closed, of course, otherwise it's going to be super cold. But you know how when there is a lot of snow and the sun beats on it, it gives you this glow, even though the light has kind of been shielded a little bit. And it is completely white outside. Completely white. The snow has fallen and it is basically covered almost up to the windowsill.
Mm-hmm.
And you're kind of wondering how you're going to get out, because it'll have covered the bottom part of the door. And interestingly enough, you are awake, but Siobhan is still asleep. That is highly unusual because normally she is the first to wake up.
I will put on water to boil for tea, because I guess we still have some water. There would be no wood. We fetch fresh water. I think we would fetch fresh water, actually.
Yeah, but I mean, I think you always have some water there, but you could also fetch fresh water from outside. You do have a well.
Then I would just assume water's there. If not, she would open the window and just get some snow, because that would be easiest. It's right outside.
And it's pure as the driven snow, as it were.
Exactly. So she will turn on to make a fire and to start cooking water, and then she would open the door. I'm just thinking, would the door open inside or outside?
This is something that I've been wondering as well. Would the door open inside or outside? I'm wondering how does my door open? Mine opens towards the inside as well. Yeah.
I think most doors go inside.
Yeah.
But then all the snow comes in.
That depends, because if it's just heavy enough, it may not. Let's see what your luck says if it falls inside.
I will carefully. It's not like opening the door, hello. It will be like carefully just a bit and see how the snow is behaving.
Yeah, since you are very careful, the fact that it was a 76 doesn't matter because you get a -20 to this roll. And you open it carefully and there's just a little bit of snow moving, but it's not falling in. Yeah. And it comes up to your, above your knee.
I will, since it's freshly fallen snow, so I will start just moving it with my boots, probably just trying to get a little bit of free room, and then going outside through the snow, just looking for a shovel.
Trudge, yeah.
And then,
you do have a shovel.
Yeah, just trying to get some snow at least from front of the house towards the stable to get some snow. So that would be my thing.
Task of the morning.
Till I hear movement inside the house.
You do hear movement inside the house, but you can also see it's a gorgeous day and the sun is beating down and it's actually reflecting. So it's really, really bright. And of course, this would have also the light would have fallen into the house, and you can hear movement inside, and then you see a very tired Siobhan sticking her head out and saying, "Oh my, what are you doing?"
Can I throw a snowball at her?
Yes, of course you can.
What do I have to roll?
Well, I rolled dexterity the last time when she did it. GS.
Okay. Yeah, that is a success.
Okay, she gets the snowball straight into the face. And
good morning, rise and shine.
What did you do that for? Oh, I know why you did this. Because I did it to you. And she bows down immediately and she grabs some snow. Whoops.
Can I try to duck and hide?
Yeah, the 100 is a 90, so that was definitely a miss. Yeah, but you also duck, and she runs out after you, and she tries to tackle you. And you can now make a strength roll, and she will roll opposed.
Let's see. Strength.
I need a d10. Haha!
I rolled a 41.
And what is your strength?
94.
Okay. She rolled a 6. Her strength is 90. She rugby tackles
She's tackling me! What the
And
hell?
she throws you down. You fall into this bed of freshly fallen snow. Well, you basically go under. The two of you just go under, and it is cold. It is wet. It is snow, but it just feels funny.
It will be laughing, squealing, something in between.
She laughs and she says, "Well, I got you this time, didn't I?"
You did, and I have no how.
Well,
you said you're not strong. Young lady.
Sister Breda made me carry the water for however long. And yes, and carrying those books and
You're
carrying
strong. My God, that was a tackle.
Well, but yes, well, you know, and she kind of she looks like a little girl.
Yeah.
When she says this, and she's kind of like, yeah, well, you know, and she says, but come on and let's have some tea.
Yeah, Aisling will get up, just shake her head that the snow is leaving all her hair just a little bit, just like shaking it off.
And there is snow falling everywhere, and she does the same. And then you go inside and you have breakfast. A tea and some breakfast. She has made bread again, so there is now fresh bread, and you still have some butter that you traded for. So that's really it's a really nice breakfast. And then she says, "Well, will you be able to do anything to do any building today with all of the snow? Probably not, right?"
Not really.
Yeah. So, what should we do? We could go down to one of the lakes.
I would say fishing was my initial
Yeah.
idea, and there should be still fish there. It might be that we need to break the ice, but
Yeah. So you take one of the small. You have several axes because you have to split wood as well. So you have a small one, and you take your fishing rods and you go down to the lake. She packs a lunch because and you tell her this, that fishing is a game of patience. Unfortunately, patience isn't her. You are a lot more patient than she is. She is more somebody who wants to. She's just not the person to sit in nature for long periods of time. She likes sitting somewhere where there is a book.
yeah.
But just being in nature, that's more your thing for long periods of time, because you would have also done this when you're hunting, when you're waiting for deer to appear.
I would also take my bow and arrow with me and one of the bigger axes, probably, just in case.
Yeah. And you go down to the lake that is nearest you. And so, so you make a hole. And you break the ice. I don't know, do you actually have to go out on the lake, or would you break this? You would probably have to go a little bit out onto the lake rather than breaking it right.
Exactly. If the lake, if the ice is stable enough that you can stand on it, you would go more into the middle and because the fishes would go where it's deeper, because it's not freezing there, or not
Makes
as
sense,
much.
yes. Yeah.
So
And
and I'm offering Siobhan, if fishing is too boring for you, I can set up something that you can practice some shooting with bow and arrow.
And she says, yeah, I'd like that. But yeah, I'd like that.
Then
so
I will, out of snow, set up something that she can hit.
A snowman.
Maybe snow, probably just like a big field, and just far enough, and would give her my bow and arrow, would show her again how to hold it. No, a little bit more like this, and relax a little. No, not.
Yeah, she is. She tries, but you also know that the way she learns is, yes, you can show her, but if you keep telling her how to do it, she actually gets.
Yeah. So I will just leave her. Just make sure you collect all the arrows, please, back afterwards. And if you need help or anything, I'm just a few feet in on the lake.
Okay.
Don't shoot yourself. I've done that before. That's what I'm saying.
You shot yourself?
Well, if you're dumb enough to have the arrow knocked and putting down and fetus, and don't ask. Just be careful.
I won't. And she nods, and then you go to your lake. You go to where you need to go. You make a hole. It's not a problem at all. You throw in your rod.
Yeah.
So let's see. She will. So that was an 8. That was a 10. She's getting better. 11, 10, 13, 14. She is basically improving in that the arrows are kind of converging on.
At least they're slowly getting closer.
The aim on the target, but she isn't really. Having said this, it is something. On a 14, she's getting quite close.
Yeah.
And a 15, that's actually 15 plus 5, which would be the base chance. That is actually a hit. She manages to hit. And she is, that she can do this for hours now. This is her thing, where she moves, where she does something. And how is your fishing coming along? How do you actually fish? So how does it work? You sit there, and do you think of anything, or do you just concentrate completely on your task?
It's just concentrating on a task. It's just mind empty in between. She would look over just to see how her friend is doing, but generally it's just calm and empty mind, just waiting for the fishing line to react that something has been.
Yeah. Oh, on a 0-3, you get 3 fish. You are very lucky. but it takes you. I mean, this is a couple of hours worth of
it will not be
doing
quickly.
this. Yeah.
But Aisling is fine, just sitting there, probably in between, just standing up, moving, that she's not freezing, and then she will go back. And when she has the third fish, that is definitely enough, so she will then pack up her stuff with the fishes on a stick, basically, that she can carry them, and then go back towards her friend. So I've been successful. Seems like you are getting better and better.
You see three arrows actually sticking in the target, and she says, well, I left those 3 in because they prove that I did hit it, but the other ones went amiss several times. But yeah, I mean, it's going to take a while. Well, I guess it's like reading. You have to practice. You have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it. But she has collected all of the arrows, and the ones that she hasn't, that have not actually found the target, she's stuck into the snow, so you basically see like it looks like a little bit of a hedgehog, and then she collects everything and she says, okay, shall we go back? And well, I will make one of those.
That's, I think, a good,
and we could smoke the other 2.
Yes, that was my idea, because at least we can set up a smoker without problem, and let's make that. Then we have fish for a few days.
Yeah. And then you return home, and she prepares the fish.
I will outside see that we can start smoking them, because it takes time.
Yeah. And then it's there is dinner, and then she says over dinner, yeah, I was thinking I could go into the village tomorrow and talk to some of the people who have children about the school.
Go ask them and maybe see if there is a place you can use, or if we need to build a new one.
Well, I think for the time being we could use one of the barns.
Yeah,
it's not ideal, but it's better than nothing, because like you said, winter is the best time. In summer and in spring everybody is busy anyway, and the children, even the youngest, as you know, as you pointed out. But now would be a good time to start.
Yes. And I think the kids would love it.
I just hope I'm not too strict.
That might happen. They will tell you.
She laughs. So then, once a week, you will join us too.
Sure.
I can already imagine you sitting next to Yoin.
I would be totally fine with that.
And she kind of like, in her mind, she has this image of all of the little children sitting there, and you kind of like in the middle, towering over
exactly
everyone.
The picture I have, just sitting in between, just like happy camper, just like learning things.
And the next day, she's true to her word. She goes into the village. You can actually restart your building project, and you also know that you will finish in a day's time.
Okay, so no new snow came afterwards. We could clean up so far, and then
And then she comes back and she says, "It worked. I've got 5 pupils.
Good.
Yoin is one of them."
That's not surprising. I think we both left an impression on him.
Yes, he asked after you.
Well, I will see him then there.
Yes, in 2 days' time.
Cool.
Don't be late.
No.
Set a good example.
Well, I will come with you. It will be hard to be late if I'm just joining you on the way.
So, yeah, you're coming with the teacher. So when the teacher is there, class starts. Everybody who comes late is the person who comes after the teacher. So in 2 days' time.
That sounds like a plan. By then, the stable should be done.
That's fantastic. The horses will be so happy. And I have to say, I'm really impressed. And she looks at the work that you've done, and it is really impressive. I mean, it looks really good.
Well, I'm taking my time, making it in a stable and a good way. Percy and Storm deserve the best.
That is true. Percy and Storm deserve the best, and
also,
so do you.
I want our place to look nice.
And I brought you something. She takes out a little. It's only a little. It's like this maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Made of. It's a little. Well, it's a jar. And she says, open it.
I will open the jar carefully and sniff.
It's honey.
Where did you get that?
That's for me to know and for you to find out.
A little bit of that here and there will make everything taste much nicer.
Especially the porridge.
Oh, yes.
It's for you. It's a present from me.
But I will share with you. 50-50.
It's a present. I never gave you anything for solstice.
Well, I didn't give you anything. Don't make me now come up with a present for you.
No, you don't have to.
My
It's enough
gift
that
I will share the other half with you. I'm not eating
you built
honey.
a stable.
But that was not for you.
Who knows? I might end up sleeping in there. So
No.
it's your honey. You know that you like it much more than I do.
I know, but please, if you're craving a bit of honey, feel free to also take. But at least the half is for me. That's the only measure.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And then she says, so what would you like for dinner tonight? We can either have some of the smoked fish or we can have some... All right. Okay, so she doesn't get to the second part. I was like, yes. And she then prepares the food. And then the next day you finish your building project. The day after is first school day. So she kind of... she is... You know her very well. She's fretting. She's kind of thinking which book to pick. Are you making it any easier for her?
I will just leave her alone and do her thing. I will not be in the way. I will not be mean and say anything. I will just give her the room she needs and the time she needs. I will only point out probably then somewhere when it's time to leave for the village. That's the only thing.
I didn't think this was going to be so difficult. Do you think they will like the story? And she holds up a book and then she holds up another book and you're like...
Just pick my story I love the most. That's a nice one. Children like that story.
That is true. Okay, so we're going to go with Liam and the Dragon. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, it's good for me. I know the story.
That is true. So she... Basically, I mean, the thing is, of course, paper is something that is so rare.
Yeah.
So this cannot be used. But what she does have are those wax tablets. And she also has chalk. And because chalk is easy to come by.
Mm-hmm.
So then she says, all right, I think I've got everything. I've got wax tablets. I've got chalk. I've got a stylus. I've got the book.
That's all you need. Oh, I will just...
I'm nervous.
It's children.
I know, but
they will
children
believe anything you say.
That is true, but what if I make a mistake?
Then
my spelling is good, but I'm nervous.
Well, then you teach them the same way, that if you make a mistake, you're honest about it, say sorry, move on. It's a good thing for them to learn as well.
Are you sure that I'm the smarter of the two of us? Because that's very good advice.
Yeah, usually it would come out of your mouth if I would be in your shoes.
That is true, so let's go.
I'm packing some water and probably a little bit of bread, and we'll just follow behind her.
And she basically, do you take the horses or do you walk?
I think we'll take the horses.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so she
they
gets on
need
the
movement and...
She is nervous. Let's see if she actually passes her riding test. Oh no, at 15 she does.
She and Percy are this close now.
That is true, but you can hear her mutter under her breath and telling the story of Liam and the dragon like 5 times by the time you get there, because she really wants to not mess this up.
If you repeat it one more time, I'm slowly starting to hate this story.
She gives you a look of utter concern.
You really? Know... No, but you know this by heart. Don't worry that much. It's just starting with a few letters and a few words. It's not that they will start reading the book this afternoon in an hour.
Yeah, I've never been a teacher though.
You can just give your best, and you will.
All right. So she is. Let's see if she is in any way convinced. On the 28, yes, you did a really good job. You arrive, and the children are there already. And then she basically welcomes them all, and everybody files in, and she starts with easy things. Like she starts with the vowels; they are the easiest to teach. And then everyone, well, basically they have to. First of all, they don't have to practice writing yet. They practice reading because that's a lot easier.
Yeah.
And then she teaches them the vowels and basically example words. You know, apple. You think of something with I, E, O, and U. I can't think of anything now because my mind's just gone blank. My God, she's a terrible teacher. Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. And apple.
Egg. An egg.
Egg, yes.
I.
I know. And it has to sound like an E.
Ice. Although that's
yes.
hard.
Yeah,
too,
it does, but it also has to be a word that they know. Ice. Onion, they would know the thing onion, and then U is a bit difficult. Something concrete starting with a U. That is, I can't think of anything.
No, in German it would be easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Because U is also this ukulele. Which is something
I'm not sure they had that in that time.
Anyway, so basically she will have to come up with something there.
Whoever's watching this on YouTube has an idea on an English
yes,
word with you that
1,000 words that we could have used. But then she says, and this goes on for 30 minutes or so, because obviously the children find it difficult to concentrate for much longer as well. And then she sits down, she says, and now I'm going to read you a story. And it's the story of Liam and the dragon. And she reads the story of Liam and the dragon. And she is, when she does this, it's almost like she's preaching, so she can be very dramatic when she needs to be, and then she can be very quiet when she needs to be. And she impersonates the dragon, and you know that she can do this really well.
That's why I love the story probably the most, because the way she is doing the story is better than anything I heard initially.
And then she finishes with the last sentences that you know so well. And then the dragon launched himself into the air, and Liam watched as his big friend became smaller and smaller and smaller as he was flying towards the mountain range in the north, until he was just a speck in front of the sun. And in his head he heard the voice of the dragon, "I'll see you again, my friend, when the time is right." And that's the end of the story. And it is actually not a fairy tale that is that common. You know it because it's in one of her books. The fairy tales are a lot more like fairy tales with witches and stuff. So the Liam and the Dragon is more like a story that would have been written down and would have been read to you, and only you know it. Well, you know it because your father had books and she was reading them, but you also know that this is her favorite story. And the kids really like it because it's a nice story about this guy who finds this young dragon and he brings him up, and the dragon, of course, grows, and Liam gets old, and then the dragon, of course, they live forever. So it's almost a sad story, but the children don't really catch on yet. And then another 20 minutes or so have passed, or 30, the way she tells the story, and then she says, "All right, so next time you just come each with one word for each letter that we didn't have today." So it's like, YouTube, please provide words. And then she basically, and the children then they are actually quite happy, and they've all brought something for the teacher. So one gives an apple and so on. So it's like the typical thing. And,
Aisling will feel really bad because she... Oh, I brought some bread.
And Johan looks at you as well, and he says, "This is for you from my mum." And he hands you a scone.
big happy eyes from Aisling. Well, tell her thank you very, very much. If she needs help for a strong arm, just I can help out if she needs.
I will let her know this, but she's so grateful because, you know what? I'm eating my greens now because you said I would grow tall.
You're a good boy, and the gods will definitely bless you with growage on that.
And he smiles, and then he runs out, and the children run out, and then she says,
I will break the scone in half and just hand one half to her.
she takes it, she doesn't say anything, she starts eating it straight away. She's probably burnt more calories than you would burn in a day building the stables. Why did I come up with that idea? Tell me, the next time I come up with such a stupid idea, remind me of today.
But today was amazing. The kids loved it.
You think?
And now even more people know the wonderful story. The children really enjoyed it. They listened to you. No one stood up and just went bonkers. No one just left because you said, that is stupid. They were happy. They were really happy.
This wouldn't have anything to do with you sitting amongst them.
I don't think they are scared of me, to be honest. They know they're quicker than I am. If they are running off, I'm not sure I will catch them.
Yes, well, I'm quicker than you are, sheepdog.
See? They are not afraid of me. If they're afraid of you.
And she says, let's go.
Let's do it. We're closing up the barn then behind us.
This was exhausting.
You're stressing out too much.
Yes, maybe.
It was the first go. Next time it will be easier.
And you go and get the horses, and as you are just about to ride off, you hear a man's voice. Sister, can I have a word with Aisling? And she's like, sure.
Just
be
give
my
me
guest.
A second. I will just get off the horse again. We'll just hand her the reins of Storm.
Yeah, she holds the reins, and it's Seamus.
Seamus.
And he says, Aisling, I know you've only just arrived, but we could really use your help.
Sure.
I know, but with the wolves, we were planning on going the day after tomorrow.
Count me
Would
in.
you?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes, I heard them. They're definitely getting closer, so...
Only if it's not, because I heard you're building a stable, so you might not have the time.
No, I'm done building the stable.
You can see utter relief on his face. So that means we will be 4. And you can use a bow, can't you? You're very good at that, aren't you?
Yes, and if they're getting closer, they will get the sword, so that's also not a problem.
I'm so glad.
With 4, we should be fine. Just make sure everyone has torches with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just in case. Fire is not something they like. And I think all of us should be able to sing very loudly and horribly to scare them off in case they're getting too dangerous for us.
He looks at you, puzzled.
They don't like loud, weird noise.
All right.
I can promise it works. At least it worked for me so far.
I'm so glad you're coming with us.
So where do we meet?
Well, I was thinking we could meet here at the well.
Yeah.
Let's say at first light.
Perfect.
And then just make our way north.
Yes. And I will ask her to bless us. Can't hurt.
You think she really would?
Yes. If not, she will have to sleep outside. Easy done.
He looks at you and he looks at her, and then he's all right. So in 2 days' time, at first light at the well, we will be ready. We'll have torches.
And I don't have to curse her. She will definitely bless us. We are doing a good thing for the village. No worries.
And he then waves at you, and he bows to Siobhan, and Siobhan, let's see if she's actually heard what you guys have been talking about. No, she hasn't really heard what you were saying, so she's she waits for you to get on the horse. She says, what was that about?
Well, the wolves, they will go hunting in 2 days. We will meet here in the morning. and go out. And he was quite hesitant to ask because he heard I was building the stables, which I'm
Well,
done
he was
with.
right.
Yeah, but I'm done. So he was happy, and he's quite happy, I think, that someone who actually knows how to fight wolves is here. And I promised also that you might give us a bit of blessing along the way, because I think they would feel much better if you would, at
I
least
will.
by saying bless them.
I will.
I told them to bring torches. Let's see. We have
Let's see.
4. That is not much, but enough to scare them off, I think. So, not I think, it's enough to scare them off.
As long as you don't try to play the hero.
I just want to make sure the wolves understand that this is not their place. And if we can get a few for some fur, wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah. You just keep everyone safe.
That is the goal. That we all get home in one piece with some additional fur.
Yeah.
And scared of wolves that will not come close to this village.
Mm-hmm. But what you do know is that none of these guys are fighters or hunters.
Yeah,
they
I
are
know.
peasants. They are farmers. They will
pitchfork.
probably show up with axes. It's not like they're going to show up with a knife to a gunfight, but
axe or pitchfork is probably even better, honestly, for a wolf.
Well, you can shout after him and explain to him that he should bring pitchforks. He can do that. They have these. You do know that they have them.
She would have like 2 pitchforks, 2 axes is a good mix.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So there's 4 of you, in total. So you ride.
So 3 others with me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's going to be 3 others. Mm-hmm. So you ride off. You come home. There is food.
Good.
She is. She's trying to calm down, but she's exhausted as well. And she says, "I would never have thought that this would take me. I mean, I can do sermons. I can wake all night. I can preach. It doesn't exhaust me like this. Explain to me why."
They are children's. You want to make things right, that they learn the right thing and not make mistakes.
Yes.
With a sermon, you can't. Well, you can do a lot of mistakes, but also there you are trained. You know how to do it. This is new for you. You haven't done that before.
And you're saying practice makes perfect. It's like,
if it helps, you can teach me a little bit every day, and then you can try out if that works.
Practice on you.
Yeah.
Good. Very good. Why don't you sit down? And she gets out her tablet.
I will sit down.
All right. So, you can read.
Bit.
Okay, so she starts off with the vowels, and then she starts off with... And I mean, the thing is, you have learned how to read, but you have not really practiced, and it is kind of a chore for you. So
yeah, I would also ask her to really start from the beginning, as if it would be, because that is the thing she needs to train. The kids have no idea what to do, so, and for me it's at least a refresher to get back into this, because she's starting, I think, to get curious. Like the travel book, it is interesting that she can read it on her own and is not dependent.
Yeah.
So,
and you know, and she basically says, okay, let's do a little bit today, and then every day after that. Not too much in one go. And, you know, you start over with the vowels again, and then it's basically time for dinner. You eat. Next day, nothing happens. So we will switch to the day after tomorrow. So before first light, you guys need to go into the village, because if she's going to bless everybody, she has to be there. She can't do a remote blessing, as it were. Yeah. And you go into, the men have already, it's 3 men. Their names are Seamus, Ranald, and Dougal. And you can say that Seamus has actually brought a... Well, they have kind of... Well, it's kind of like a pitchfork. So, and the others as well. So you have 3 people with pitchfork-like implements.
Okay.
And yourself, you brought your bow, I suppose.
Bow, and I honestly have my sword with me as well.
Okay, okay. So the priestess will now bless you. Yeah, that one was a success. Second one as well. Third one as well. Fourth one as well. Which means you get a +1 for the next hour to 3 of your choice. So basically you can you could also turn something into a 20, into a natural 20. So if you're a 19, then you could add this. So
let's see. Before we leave, guys, just in case we get split up or anything happens, if you see a wolf nearby that is getting closer, especially circling you because it thinks you're food, the thing to do is to stand straight, proud and high, and be loud as hell, because that will just, they're not used to that and they don't like noises like that, so try to scare them off. Also, it gives us a hint where you are so we can find you, so it's double good.
The people you're dealing with, Seamus is the oldest, but he's also only just 30. The other ones, I mean, Ranald is a boy, he's 16, and then the other one is kind of in the middle.
Okay.
And they just basically listen to what you're saying and they just nod.
So, where did you see the wolves? Where should we go?
And he basically directs you towards the foothills. And Siobhan returns home, so she isn't going with you. That was never the plan.
No. then she would worry more about another person. She has to worry now about 3 others. Fourth one will not be helpful.
And you can now make a survival roll.
Okay. No, I rolled a 3. Okay. No bonuses in the world will help me with that.
No bonuses in the world will help you with this one. Okay, so after a while, you hear a growling. And you see 7 wolves come out of the foothills, and because you failed your roll, you now have a minus to your initiative roll. So do you have leadership? I don't think you have the skill leadership, do you?
I was thinking about it. I'm not sure. Let me see. It's not scrolling. No, I don't.
Okay, then you can just roll a d20 and subtract 3 from the roll.
Just a 20. Let's see, there's the 20.
What did you roll? A 1? Okay. Okay, so essentially, are you on foot or are you... No, because the other ones are not riding.
We are on foot, definitely. The only thing, I hope that we are still together in a group.
Yes, you are still together in a group. The problem is you totally botched. So what happens is each wolf gets an attack, and they move with a speed of 30. And they have circled you. So they're coming from all sides.
Great.
Okay, so
I'm sorry for the village that 3 people will probably not take it out of you. Worst case 4. Then I can't be sorry. That's the only thing.
Okay, so we have Aisling, Seamus, Ranald,
and Dougal.
Dougal, and we will say that you are 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's see who gets attacked first. That's a 3. Ranald gets attacked. And that is good because the attack misses.
Good.
First one, oops.
Crit.
Okay, you get attacked, and that's a hit on a 26.
Okay.
So now you can do two things. You can either do nothing, in which case you get damage, or you basically you should have a, let's see, it is it is Abwehr. You have a 12, so you can just roll a d12. No, you roll a d20 and add 12 to it.
Okay, d20 and no add, not subtract. That would be worse. Rolled a 29 when I put everything together.
Okay, so you take 3 points of damage, but just to your stamina, so Ausdauerschaden.
Mm-hmm.
That is that's always the case. So then we've got the next one, and he misses. Next one misses. Very good. Okay, he botches. And let's see. Which means you can actually hit it back.
Good.
You just roll a normal attack with, in this case, you would have to use your sword.
Yes, because they're close by.
Yeah.
Attack with the sword, and it would be the long sword. Let's see if this works. It works, and it's a success on a 23.
Okay, and then you can do damage, because he has basically botched his attack. There is no way he can do anything about this.
5 points.
Okay. That is very good indeed. Next one. You get to do this again because you rolled a 1 again.
I will go with that. So sword again, which is overall a 20. So a success.
It's a hit.
And 9 points.
Okay. This means okay. So
that is a lot of damage. Gosh darn it.
Yeah. And so the last one is now, you can tell that there is one wolf that's holding back. He's also the tallest. And he goes and he attacks you actually, and he hits on a 16. On a 16 plus the 7, so 23. So you can now try to avoid his attack by using Abwehr. Whatever that is. Parry.
Let's see. I have this here. I should have it somewhere here as well, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
There. Wait. I found it. Up there. That is a success. I have a 23 overall.
Okay, so he just and you take. Oh, by the way, don't forget you have yeah, it doesn't work on this one, but you take 3 damage Ausdauerschaden. And for this, actually, your armor doesn't work. It only works for tödlicher Schaden. Okay, so now is your turn. You have 7 wolves in front of you. 1 and 2 of which are already hit. 1 of which looks like he is really, really badly damaged.
I will go for the one that is badly damaged because it was had maybe a sign for the rest. So sword, just swinging it, and that is a success with a 25.
Okay. And oh wow, he does manage to avoid lethal damage, but you can still do normal damage on him.
Okay, 6.
Okay, Okay, so since he doesn't have any stamina left, he is dead because he takes this as lethal damage anyway. So the first one is down. Don't forget, as soon as your Ausdauer gets to 0, you have -4 to everything.
Yeah, I still have at least a bit.
Okay, so let's see how Seamus does.
Hey, can I just, as free action, yell at them, keep the pitchforks up, keep
Of
them
course,
at distance?
Yeah, there is always the possibility of doing that. So he's now going to... sorry, that is Seamus. He's going to attack. And he doesn't hit. Next up is Ranald, who doesn't hit. And then we have dear Dougal, who hits. Woohoo! And he actually targeted the second one that was damaged. Let's see how this one does. And he does not, in any way, shape, or form. Let's see. Avoid the... okay. So that was 1. But still, 1 is better than none. Okay. So then it's the wolves again. First one. That's a miss. Second one is a hit, and he hits Seamus. Let's see how Seamus does. He doesn't avoid the damage. So... okay, max damage. That's
good. Don't kill my village people.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they got the memo, but he is now. So he takes lethal damage. Okay. Next up, he does hit, but number 5 doesn't exist, so we roll this again. So he's on Seamus again. Let's see how Seamus does. And Seamus does not. Oh God. Oh dearie me. Seamus goes down. Next up, he's at -4. Oh my God, even at -4, he hits, and he hits Dougal. Let's see how Dougal does. But Dougal does... oh God. Yeah, okay. Yes, well, Dougal is not doing so well either. So he's at 6. And then the last one doesn't hit. Okay. It's you again.
Ashley will now change what she's doing. She sees that, yeah, she can fight them, but the others will not hold on much longer. So she will now go into being loud, obnoxious, and try to scare them off tactics. Not sure if it works, but she will A, step over Seamus, that they are not attacking him anymore.
Okay.
And B, she will use her smaller axe or knife, whatever she has that is of metal, and will just clank it against the sword and will start singing out of the deepest lung in the weirdest tones that she can think of, and will be really just loud. But she will stand tall and be really just to her fullest height. And will just try to intimidate them, because it works with dogs. Why shouldn't it work with wolves? Because they can feel the presence and how people are. And she will so focus on, I'm not scared. I'm the strong one here. You have to leave.
Okay, so let's see.
It would be something like intimidation in another game set. I'm not sure if there's something like that here.
I would say the following. You can do a PA roll, so for persönliche Ausstrahlung, as it were. And you get a +20, so if to your stat, as it were.
Thank goodness, because then it's a success, because I rolled a 66 and my base stat is 65, but with +20.
So interestingly enough, these creatures have a stat that doesn't that is morale. So and it depends on the leading wolf.
The strong one.
And he rolls a 16. His moral is 16, so he rolled a 32. He withstands. And he gnarls at you. He growls. He gets up, like he hunches up. You see the hairs on the back behind his head start standing up, and he bares his teeth, and he growls.
Aisling is not moving. She's going on.
And then two of them direct their attacks towards you. So we will not roll for who's going to be attacked. They attack you.
The question is, are we still within the hour of the blessing?
Yes.
Okay.
So the first one misses.
Mm-hmm.
The second one misses as well. Then the leader comes. And he misses as well.
Good.
So you can now act.
I will attack the leader.
Okay, please do.
With the sword, because I still have it in my hand. And that is a natural 20 that I rolled.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay, so first of all, please do damage.
Okay.
Unless he rolls a natural 20, which he doesn't, he can't even do anything.
That is sadly just 6 points.
Still, we're not done yet. So that's 6 and 10. So please roll a 100 for me.
100. Wait, I need to... 100. The 23.
Okay. Oh dear. You actually hit him so badly that you can hear cracking. You have broken 3 of its ribs.
Good.
So we will now give him a hefty wound. So he's at -4 going forward. But he does not actually leave. So
Aisling now wants his fur.
I can imagine. So now the other ones attack, and they have all concentrated on you now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a natural 20.
No!
What you can do now is you can defend, but you have to roll a natural 20. Or if you want to use the blessing, a 19.
If I use the blessing, I
Otherwise,
rolled a 3. No, that's
okay, so that
far
didn't
away.
work.
No.
So first of all, we will do damage. And we did 2 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
Which you can actually use your armor for, or against rather. And then we will see what happens, because we now get... Oh, sorry, no, it goes through anyway, because that was a critical hit.
Yep.
And let's see what else you suffer from. Okay. You have just been hurt in the eye.
Great.
And which means that you are now at -4 to everything because you have no depth perception.
Yep.
Okay.
How much damage now did I took in LP or AP?
2. LP.
Both?
LEP
LP.
2. Yeah. Plus the eye. That is now really severe because we will have to deal with this later. Okay, so that was this one. So we have had this one, and the leader attack. So we have 2 more that can attack. That's a miss, and the next one is at -4, and that's a miss as well. So now Ranald is going to try and attack.
Mm-hmm.
And with a 19, he will turn this into a natural 20.
Yes.
So this is definitely a hit. Let's see. And he does 2 points of damage, which is enough to bring this one to 0 and 5. And then we will see what else he does to it. 70. Okay. Okay, so he actually damages the right front leg of that creature, so it's now at -8.
Okay.
To everything.
That's good for us.
Okay, and then Dougal will attack again. Will attack as well, and he hits. Whoa!
Good.
And the other one can try and resist, but it doesn't. And he finishes it off. So 2 down. Let's see how the morale is holding up. Still good. Okay, it's your turn again.
Going for the lead wolf again.
Mm-hmm.
And this time -4, right?
Mm-hmm.
I will still hit because I have 22 even with the -4.
Okay, brilliant. So let's see how he does. Oh no, that was okay. I thought there was a 1. No, it's a 7. So he doesn't succeed in avoiding your hit.
9 points of damage.
9 points of damage.
Yes,
He goes down. Let's see how the morale holds. This one's fine. This one is fine. This one is fine.
Stubborn wolves.
This one is fine, yeah. They actually all managed to, because they have a morale of 16.
How many are still up? 4?
4, yeah.
Okay.
So now they basically will try and attack randomly. The first one hits and attacks Ranald. And Ranald is able to withstand the attack and takes 1 point of damage only. And that is only Ausdauer. So next one hits. Wow. And attacks you. He hits you. You can try to withstand.
Have -4 on that as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's still a success. I rolled a 19.
Very good. Then you only take 5 points Ausdauer.
Okay.
This one will try to attack. Whoops, and that's a miss. And this one misses as well. Okay, so up the order, it's you again.
I'm going for the next one that is next to me, whoever that would be, and sword again.
Okay.
And that is another -4 is 20. Yeah.
Okay. But it does manage to avoid lethal damage, so you just do normal damage.
6.
Oh wow, that's very good. Okay, then it's Ranald. He rolled a natural 20, inspired by your leadership. So this one can only avoid. No, he rolled a 6 as well. Woohoo!
Amazing.
Okay, so this one is now
he
at
will be the
-4
new
to
hero
everything.
of the village.
6.
He did a lot of good things.
And a 21. Okay. And he breaks 2 of its ribs, so it's at -6 instead of -4. Okay, and last but by no means least, Dougal.
Come on, Dougal.
On a 15, he does hit.
That's good.
And let's see if the other one avoids it. And on a 12, it does. So it just takes non-lethal damage, but still 6 points.
Yes.
Okay.
We
Good.
can do this. There's
You can
also
do
no
this.
other choice than to do it.
Let's do a moral check on the injured ones. This one, on a 17, ha, easy. And this one on a 6 runs.
So
One of them runs.
3.
You can try and hit it if you want to on its way out.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, please do.
Yeah, that is a 23 to hit. So yes,
Okay, make a damage roll, please.
5.
Okay, yeah, it does get away. It's enough, but you do damage it, and you don't think this will ever come back. He runs away with the tail between his legs.
Good.
Okay, so it is your turn. There's one that's heavily injured and 2 that are not injured at all.
I will go for the heavily injured and will try to hit it with a sword.
Please do.
Thank goodness I'm strong at fighting, because that is a natural 20 again.
Okay, then it can only avoid it if it rolled a 2. So please do damage.
That's a 9.
Okay, it's dead outright. We don't even have to worry about anything else. Okay, Ranald is next. Nope. And Dougal uses his blessing to manage to hit this one. And this one actually goes and avoids the attack. So he only does, well, he still does, he does 1 point of non-lethal damage. Okay. Which means it's the wolves again. First one attacks you, but doesn't hit. Second one attacks, doesn't hit anyway. Okay, so it's you. You have 2 wolves in front of you.
I will go for the first one that is closest with the sword again, and that is a miss. That was only a 5 that I rolled.
Okay, then Ranald on a 4 misses, and Dougal on an 8 misses as well.
They don't have to copy me. No.
It's all about leadership. The first one misses, and the second one misses as well. So it's up to you again.
Sword again.
Mm-hmm.
That is still a miss, thanks to the -4.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then it's Ranald. Misses. Dougal, natural 20! Way to go, Dougal. Yeah, it doesn't. Okay, let's see. And a 6 again. Whoa! These guys are really, 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 really taking your leadership. And on a 12...
Seamus picked the right ones.
Seamus picked the right ones. Oh, good. This one is out for a round. And also at -4 going forward. Okay, so it's you. You have one that looks really groggy.
I will try to hit that one.
Mm-hmm. Please do.
That is a success.
Okay, then just do damage. It can't do anything.
7.
Okay, it's dead. There's only one left. Let's see if its morale check holds up. And on a 10, it does. Oh, these are stubborn people. Okay.
A lot of furballs.
Yeah.
But
Ranald.
first we need to see if Seamus is still.
Ranald is... Oh! Dougal rolled a natural 20!
Yes!
Wow! And the wolf doesn't... So, okay, so let's see how much damage he does. He does 2 points of damage, but that's lethal damage. 10 and 5, and then we will see what else he does. On a 65. Okay, so he is now at -4 because one of his legs is badly injured. Okay, so it's up. So it's the wolf again. Yeah, on a 7, nothing, and it's you.
Sword to the wolf again. That is a miss.
Okay, then it's Ranald. On an 8, he misses, and Dougal on a 20. Hey,
I like your dice at the moment.
Yeah. And the wolf can't really defend at all. At a -4. Well, it would have to defend with a natural 20 anyway, because that would have actually been enough to defend. He does 1 point of damage only, but still, this is lethal damage. And let's see, does he do anything else to it? On a 10, nothing. Nothing happens. Okay, then it's up to you again. No, sorry, it's the wolf. The wolf gets to go first. I just dropped the excellent die.
No.
On an 8, it doesn't hit. It's you.
Sword again, trying, and no. Okay, I think Aisling is out of hitting anything.
I think we forgot his morale check. And a natural 20, he's fine. Okay, so then it's Ranald. And on a... Oh god, he botched.
No. Dude.
Kritischer Fehler bei Angriffen. 35. He drops his weapon.
Okay.
Dougal. On a 7 doesn't hit. Then it's the wolf again. 15. Doesn't hit. It's you.
We'll try again with the sword. It's getting worse. I rolled a 2 now. We're getting close to a boss.
Okay, as long as you didn't roll a 1.
No,
so
no,
Ranald is picking up his...
Although you said... No, I rolled 8. Yeah, it's a 2 after the minus.
Ranald is picking up his sword, his pickaxe. Dougal rolled a natural 20. I mean, would you believe this? So, yeah.
I like your D20.
Yeah, me too. We're going to use this when we play DSA. And he does 1 point of damage. That's not that much, but he does get to roll on the special damage table. 96. The higher, the worst. Oh. Okay. Can you do me a favor and roll 2d6 for me?
Sure. 2d6. That is a 2 and a 5.
He goes down. He basically hit him in the throat.
Ooh.
Yeah, Halstreffer.
Nice.
So, you see before you several dead wolves. And you're still standing over Seamus, who is on the ground.
Is there any way I can check if he's still at least alive? Because honestly, I'm still not sure about the system, if you just blankly die or if there's any
No.
chance of
And
saving
basically
someone.
you go down even before you reach... I mean, if you reach 0 in one go, you start dying.
Yeah.
But he just basically became unconscious.
Okay.
I say as... if you're at 2 life points, you're just basically... You go down.
Yeah, that's fine.
So he is at 2 life points, so you can tell that he is alive, but he is wounded very badly. Now, do you have anything like first aid or anything like that?
No, I usually have someone else for that. Quite sure I have nothing like that. Let me see. I can... No.
Okay.
Simply no. Just the
No.
standard value that everyone has.
Which is?
I think. Is that some... Well, let me see. Oh, no, it's not a standard thing. It's a special thing you need to do.
It's something that you actually need to know what you're doing. Okay, so what you can do is you can... how is your life points and AP point situation?
AP is... Wait, let me go back. AP is not the best. It's at 2.
Okay, but it's still about 0.
At 16, so I didn't lose that much. I only lost 2 LP, so...
Okay, but it also means that you still have AP.
Yes.
Which means, because when you're at 0 AP, you get a -4 to all rolls on the natural 20, on the 20, or at -20 to all your other stats, because it's like 20%.
Yeah.
Okay, so the other guys are doing fairly well, except Seamus. Seamus is alive but unconscious.
Okay. Taking a deep breath.
Yeah.
Just clapping the other 2 on the shoulder, like a good job. Let's get the fur, and I will try to carry him out, and we should get out of here.
Yeah. Okay.
Should at least teach him a lesson. So Aisling would pull out her knife. I could imagine the others would have at least a practical knife to cut meat as well.
Everybody has that.
And we will at least take the fur. I don't think we have much other things we can carry in the situation we are, but at least the fur, because that would be the most important. The rest, the animals can eat. They will be happy about fresh meat as well.
Okay.
And
good. Okay.
Aisling will try to carry Seamus.
Okay. Then give me a strength check, please.
Okay. Any minus on that? Also -4? Okay.
No. Oh, because of your eye, you mean?
Yeah,
no, because you don't really need your you don't really need your eyes for this. Yeah.
The others I can see at least with one eye without problem, so I can follow them. Am I now a pirate? That's fun. I rolled a success. I rolled a 33, so much lower than I should.
Okay, so what happens is you can carry him easily. Where do you go?
To our place, because we need a healer.
Okay, so this is going to take you, I would say, about 2 hours. What I would like you to do is I would like you to give me 2 constitution checks, please.
Okay. First one is a success, although just barely 1 point under. And the second one easily is a 13, so yes.
Okay, good.
Closer to home. I'm getting more motivated. We could do this.
Yeah, you're getting more motivated. You see the house. Probably this gives you an additional push.
I would also call out as soon as we are close enough in calling range. I will call out. See if Siobhan reacts.
Siobhan does react. She opens the door.
Oh god, why am I doing this to myself? I will get murdered afterwards.
Okay, so let's see how she deals with looking at you. Yeah.
I'm walking and standing and carrying someone. That should be fair for something.
Yes. The thing about being murdered is very likely.
Focus on Seamus, he needs help.
But of course she's a full professional, so she asks you to put him inside on the in front of the fire.
Yeah.
And then she says, "All right, please stand back."
We are, all 3 of us, I guess, are standing back. I would hand out some water for the others and just motion for them to just sit down, probably on my kind of quarter's edge, and just take a breather.
She
Or the others were hurt as well, right? They took damage?
Yeah, but only yeah.
So I would grab, while she's doing her thing, I would just grab some water and some cloth that we can at least clean our wounds, and I would start with that, because that far, I'm quite sure Aisling has learned by now, cleaning wounds is a good thing.
Okay. Okay, Seamus does wake up.
Good.
And basically what she has done is, you have seen this maybe once or twice, but only very rarely, she has actually called down a favor of her goddess and she has closed his wound. Everyone would have noticed that suddenly she was glowing. She was practically glowing, so there's an aura around her. She then turns around to everyone else. She doesn't look at you at all. She completely ignores you.
I would honestly go out of the way.
And she looks at
Probably
Dougal.
step outside.
Yeah, if you know what's good for you. Okay, she's now at -7.
I would also just clean the wounds that I have as best as I can. With the eye is another thing, but the rest I will just clean.
Okay, so he gets back. He's restored to full health. Okay, that didn't work. So she couldn't really help Ranald, but Ranald is fine. He only ever took AP damage, so he's fine.
Okay.
She couldn't really do anything for him. And so Seamus is now awake, and you can talk to him. And she says, Dougal. And she basically also binds his wounds. Yeah. And then she says, Dougal, Seamus will be fine, but he needs to stay in bed for the next couple of days. So there is nothing really I can do for him. for the next couple of days because the goddess will not grant me another boon for him. You can take my horse and take him home and just return the horse tomorrow. And she shows him where the horses are, and he basically puts Seamus on the horse, on Percy, and leads him on a rein into the village.
Is the third one following him?
Yeah, he's fine. He's totally fine. So Dougal and Ranald are now completely restored.
Okay, I would just quickly talk to Dougal or Ranald, probably to Ranald, because Dougal is taking care of Seamus. I will bring the furs tomorrow, and we will split them up.
Yeah, but shouldn't you have someone look at this? And he points to your eye, which of course you can't see anything because it's completely swollen shut.
Yeah, but still, I will bring down, or take the furs now if you want.
No, this is not, no. You should just rest up.
It's just an eye. I can stand and walk. No worries.
He basically, you see that you notice how he looks past you.
Aisling will still be a big smile, just standing straight, and we'll just be careful.
Yes, yes. And the two of them hurry along.
I will take the furs and probably bring them. It would be a question, would we have, like, I'm not sure if like a shed or at least like a bit of roof where we can put stuff under that is not snowed in? Because if you, at least for leather, you need to hang it out dry, and you don't do that in winter just out in the snow.
I would assume that when you at least built the extension, you would have made sure that if it wasn't there to begin with, you would have put something in.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, like rafters.
She would blankly bring the furs there, because it would be a waste to not take care of them after all we've been through, and she would just feel the daggers in her neck, quite sure, but she will just do what needs to be done. And if...
Well, when you turn around, she's already gone. She's gone back inside.
Okay, then I will go to Storm. I need a friend. Just scratching his neck. If I never see you again, it was a wonderful time with you, my friend. And then she will just carefully step inside.
Siobhan is there, of course. She points to a chair.
I will just sit down.
Okay, tilt your head back, please.
I will do exactly as she says.
And she starts daubing your eye and cleaning the blood away. Okay, so now please roll a D100.
Let's see. No, just one, not 3. 73.
Okay. So we will have to think about this because you actually just missed your luck roll.
Okay. I am fine with being a pirate girl now. I totally can live with that.
She doesn't say anything.
If she's not saying anything, Aisling will fill the not saying anything. Thank you for helping Seamus. It went a bit astray. There were 7 of them. And they were stubborn. More than I am. Well, we got 6. They will not harm the village. And we're all alive?
Where else are you hurt?
That's the main point. The rest
Where
is just...
else?
I think the rest would be just scratches, right? Because she got hit here and there, but it was only AP damage, so that is not much. The only big was the eye.
You do get 6 points back.
Of
Everything.
Of everything, okay. And LP I can't get higher than I was. Okay, so 2 back. Oh, there's the max. I see that. Okay, 2, 8. Cool. Still learning the character sheet.
Yeah.
But that part is not badly done. That is really easy to just change what you have.
Okay.
Sorry for having make you work. That was not as planned. Well, kind of. We scared them off. At least one that survived. We have now nice fur for the village.
That eye is badly hurt.
I know. As you say, the gods give it or take it. Your blessing helped anyhow. If not, I highly doubt we would be here.
Yes. We will have to put something on it. You will look strange.
I am always looking strange.
She doesn't smile. She puts a bandage over over your let's say left is 1 2 3, right is 4 2 6. It's your right eye.
Okay.
So
the important thing is the village is safe. We all made it home.
yes.
It could have gone worse that we've all
I
died
know.
out there. Seamus was lucky, and oh dear, Ranald and Dougal grow over themselves. They killed a lot of the wolves.
Mm-hmm. I don't debate this 1 second.
Good.
You should get some rest now. I'll prepare something to eat. You have to eat. There is no discussion.
I'm hungry. There will not
Good.
be discussion.
Good.
As the cat moves over the table. We have a cat now. Do we have a kitty?
Yes, and yeah, because every sheepdog needs a cat friend.
Yes. And I will just, sit on my corner of my quarters, just then waiting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she cooks and she says, she comes to you and she says, I'm sorry, but I worry.
I
You
know
this.
And as we see, rightfully so.
And she hands you a scone which she got from Yoin. And she has drizzled some honey on it.
I will break it in half and give her the other half.
She takes it, she accepts it, she doesn't discuss it, she eats it, and then she
For
says...
the nerves, sugar is good.
She says, so you can now choose what would you like, rabbit, or we still have your fish. Because we're not gonna eat wolf. Not that it's edible anyway.
We didn't take any meat with us, just a fur.
Good.
We couldn't carry more, to be honest. And the wildlife will be happy about some additional food.
So what would you like?
Will you murder me if we eat fish again?
No, of course not.
Good. Fish.
I will murder you for other things, but not for that.
Okay. Fish would be lovely, please.
And it's fish, and she's actually she has, considering everything, considering that she gave you the honey as a present, she is using it because she is now using it to make a really nice, she's basically taking herbs, putting them in the honey, and then she's basically dousing the fish in the herbs honey mixture. And you also notice that she doesn't really halve the fish. You get 2/3. And she says,
I got them.
yeah.
Aisling will just dig in because honestly, she will be hungry as hell after this fight. All the adrenaline and the fighting.
Yeah. And yeah, so you are now one-eyed.
Pirate.
Yeah, you're a pirate. I mean, this is going downhill quickly. Next time you will lose an arm.
No. It has to stop somewhere. So that would be interesting. Yes, we need to figure out what that means, but and how this goes. If it's healable or not, we can discuss.
Yeah, so so basically for the time being, you really have down one eye. We will see how we deal with this.
And for what I will have minus and for what not. Because carrying things should be fine because you don't need an eye, but everything, especially shooting a bow, will now be quite impossible.
Interestingly enough, in the rules there is, if you have sharpshooter, you compensate for a missing eye. That's actually in the rules.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So if I take time, especially hunting, you can take time just sitting there waiting.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they actually take care of everything in the rules.
Interesting.
If you have only one eye, then you cannot get this additional ability sharpshooter. But if you already got it and then lose one eye, it basically compensates for it. So they thought of everything. Aisling, so Siobhan, you know that she isn't really, she doesn't hold a grudge, but you do know that this is probably one of the worst nightmare, that you come back to her dead.
Yeah, well, at least I walked in on my own.
You walked in on your own.
Might be a little bit of bonus points, but yes, it's not how it should have gone properly.
Yeah.
But which is a surprise.
So basically, you go to sleep at some point, and you can now roll a d20 for me, please.
A 6.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You do wake up, and it's in the middle of the night, and she is praying fervently for you and imploring her goddess to restore your eyesight. And you have a feeling that she may have cried.
Aisling is halfway and saying you need sleep, but then holds herself back because she knows what kind of answer she will get. And she will just curl up again and try to get back to sleep, which probably will be difficult, but she will kind of just let her do the thing.
Yeah, and basically then, she does stop at some point because, praying only goes so far, and then she also goes to bed. And yeah, we will leave it there.
We will leave it there.
Okay, so that ended differently than I thought, but hey.
Wolves. Stubborn wolves, especially. They were not scared at all from anything.
No, but the other ones were rolling W20s like left, right, and center. Natural 20s. I was really surprised.
Honestly, I'm very proud of Dougal and Ranald. They are amazing fighters for their village.
Yeah, but I have to say, it's really like when you don't have this, confirm the natural 20 or the natural 1, it just happens really, really quick. Did you actually roll a natural 20? You did roll one on one of your attacks, didn't you?
Yeah, on one of my attacks I rolled.
Okay, so it means that you can actually get this, you can get a practice point for this.
Okay.
Because for fighting and magic use, it's only on a natural 20.
I just noted behind the sword and I rolled a nat 20. And
that's fine. Okay, so thank you very much for playing. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you for for spontaneous time for doing this adventure.
And everyone else, this is the second installment, and so you will have to now wait for another 2 weeks.
Sorry, not sorry. Have a nice rest of the week, guys.
You too. Bye. O hi mina morviena, o hi mina korviena, o hi mina karachen, hi mina skaren fojo. Himi gondalan taches an trukuk mi, kerer am feilches a chan en a hukas mi, jev mi an eigus gran rukem, nach rech ging tunich en or. O hi mina morviena, o hi mina korviena, o hi mina karachen, hi mina skaren fuicho.